Chapter 445. That shout was like a bolt from the blue, striking the celestial ceiling sex dojo that floated like a treasure. Su Fong stood on top of the formation, facing off against the huge dojo. It was as if he dared to challenge a top-tier faction. I, Ying, challenge Prince Shui today. I'm willing to die. After a while, he shouted again, and his voice swept through the celestial ceiling sex formation. Even without using the power of a perfected saint, they could still hear him clearly. Layer by layer, the celestial ceiling sex formation entered the space of the four dojos. Whoosh, whoosh, the formation appeared, and the celestial ceiling sex disciples guarding it flew out. They were all at the young nascent realm, and there were also a few tribulation realm disciples. Just as they were about to ask, they started talking privately. They appeared near the formation, but they didn't approach Su Fong, and they didn't return to the dojo. Even more disciples flew out from the 7 grotto heavens of the celestial ceiling sect. Seeing so many disciples fly out, Su Fong released his power again. I, Ying, challenge you. He's too daring. I heard that 10 years ago, there was a reckless frozen moon grotto heaven disciple who dared to challenge the crown prince at the celestial ceiling sect. So it's him. How could someone like him be the crown prince's match? I think he's just trying to please the crowd. What qualifications does he have to challenge a grand venerated Tao disciple? Everyone, don't underestimate him. He's already a sect master, and his status surpasses us celestial ceiling sect disciples. Fong Yu, it's really him. Back then, he forcefully took my Dharma treasure and used the rainbow, soul-absorbing bell. I'll never forget that scene. However, his appearance is different from before. I heard that this is his original appearance. The sect has already sent a decree about him to every disciple. My token has it too. You didn't participate in the training back then. I was at the Celestial Ceiling sect, and I personally saw him being forced into a corner by the Crown Prince. He was like a dead dog in front of the Crown Prince. I didn't expect him to be able to make a comeback. He came back alive from the Celestial Ceiling sect and became a sect master, trying to please the crowd. In just a few breaths of time, there were more than 10,000 disciples from the 7 great grotto heavens. Only a small portion of them had seen Su Fong before, or did not recognize his current appearance, but they had all heard of his existence. More and more disciples appeared, and there were even vast core realm disciples. Unknowingly, there were already 100,000 disciples floating around the Su Fong and the barrier like a sea of people. Prince Shui, I'll let you come out and accept my challenge. Do you still think that you're high and mighty and disdain to fight with me? Staring at so many disciples, he felt a sense of familiarity. 10 years ago, the same thing had happened at the Xinjia Gate. Su Fong was completely unperturbed as he watched more and more disciples appear. All of them were unfamiliar faces. There were hundreds of thousands of disciples in the House of Immortal Ceiling, and most of them were people he had never seen before. There were quite a few disciples, but none of them were in the upper echelons. Aside from the experts guarding the array formation, the most powerful disciples were only at the Yang Soul realm. Obviously, the higher echelons of the House of Immortal Ceiling, as well as the Conclave disciples, all agreed that Prince Shui wouldn't accept a challenge from an undying disciple. Little Sister Huanyan, are you really close to Fong Yu? In the sea of people, there were some women together. Most of them were female disciples of the Ice Moon Cave. Qian Huanyun was among them, and many of them asked her curiously. We're somewhat close. We've gone out to train a few times, but I haven't had much contact with him in the past few years. Qian Huanyun couldn't help but reply. Is it true that his strength and cultivation base were lower than yours back then? Of course. He was only at the Heavenly Fusion Realm back then, and his cultivation base was much lower than mine. But his cultivation speed is shocking. In just a few decades, he surpassed me and reached the Undying Realm. So even Junior Sister has misjudged people. If I knew he had such potential, I would have become his Tao companion. Everyone in the sect knows that Fong Yu challenged the Crown Prince back then. He's much stronger than the men we've befriended. Look at how calm he is. He openly challenged the Crown Prince in front of so many people. Most of the girls only had eyes for Su Fong. Qian Huanyun, on the other hand, was embarrassed. However, there was only Su Fong in her eyes. Senior sister, inside the house of immortal ceiling. She was floating above the forest outside Blue Sea City. A few girls flew over. They were Xuanqin Yao, Yin Bixin, and Xiang Ruru. After bowing to Blue Sea City, the three of them looked in the direction she was looking. Through the formation, they saw a sea of people. And in the center of the formation was Su Fong, whom they once knew. Xiang Ruru exclaimed, "It's really Fong Yu. No matter how he changes his appearance, his aura will never change. Back then, he saved us. Even in the face of so many experts, he didn't move. At that time, he gave me the feeling that as long as he was there, everything could be resolved." Yin Bixin sighed. A person's appearance can change, but his aura, his gaze, and his calm temperament will never change. It's only been a few decades, but he's already so strong. At that time, I was worried that he would die in the hands of Prince Shui. Now, it seems that he will never forget the shame left by Prince Shui. We can persuade him to join our fragrant jade party and work for Senior Sister Huang together. Xuanqin Yao thought more. Yin Bixin looked at Blue Sea City eagerly. Senior Sister, you can show up. Maybe you can persuade Fong Yu. No matter how strong he is, he's no match for Prince Shui. Once Prince Shui accepts the challenge, life and death, fortune and disaster will be unpredictable. Blue Sea City nodded with emotion. Once this person makes up his mind, he's like a moth darting into a flame. Even if he knows he'll die, he'll still charge forward fearlessly. Xuanqin Yao agreed. Senior Sister, you're right. Once this kind of person has made up his mind, even 9 horses can't pull him back. But you seem to know Fong Yu very well. I've only met Fong Yu a few times. It's just that his way of doing things is special. I think he's that kind of person. His heart is like a star, and no one can change his mind. If he wants to do something, even if he has to climb a mountain of swords or plunge into a sea of fire, no one can stop him. Xuanqin Yao, Yin Bixin, and Xiang Ruru had only met Su Fong once during the trial on the Flying Immortals Island. However, Blue Sea City had gone through many life and death situations with Su Fong in the Wutan realm. Moreover, he had fused with Su Fong's primordial spirit and suppressed 7 Star Child's young infant together. In the Celestial Sealing sect, she was the only one who knew Su Fong the best apart from Exalted Master Yuezhen. Exalted Master Yuezhen also didn't know who Su Fong was. He only knew what methods Su Fong had and what magic weapons he had. Blue Sea City had fused with Su Fong's primordial spirit, so he could deeply sense Su Fong's aura. Moreover, he had experienced death with Su Fong. He knew better than anyone what kind of person Su Fong was. Xuanqin Yao saw her holding her breath. Senior Sister, are you worried about Fong Yu? I just think that it's a pity for a talent to die if he really wants to challenge Prince Shui. He originally had the talent of Prince Shui. He originally had an even more limitless future. However, it's difficult for such a person to change his mind, and no one can predict his future. Senior Sister, if Prince Shui really accepts the challenge, do you think Fong Yu could defeat him? This, from Xuanqin Yao's unintentional question, it seemed that Lan Haicheng was stumped. Her brows seemed to be covered by dark clouds all of a sudden. She didn't answer Xuanqin Yao's question, but Blue Sea City already had an answer in his heart. The dark clouds that shrouded her suddenly disappeared. Blue Sea City smiled knowingly. In his mind, there was only the scene of him fighting side by side with Su Fong in the space of the 7 Stars Demon Island. In the end, not only did he escape alive, but he also survived a great opportunity. I believe in you, Su Fong. You have to live well. You're right. We shouldn't be controlled by others. Cultivate freely like you. Do whatever you need to do, bravely do it. Even a Xinjia gate can't stop you. Others say that you were lucky to come out alive, but I know that you relied on your strength and means, just like how you came out alive from the mysterious space of the 7 Stars Demon Island. A knowing smile appeared on Blue Sea City's face, but it was more of a sweet smile. It was completely like a lotus flower rising out of the water. In a nearby dojo, in the main hall of the Ice Moon Cave, Jin Zhongkong and many higher-ups of the cave appeared one by one, floating in the air. They didn't believe that Su Fong would really dare to challenge Prince Shui outside. With such a cultivation level, there was a huge gap between Prince Shui and himself. He was undoubtedly courting death. Someone looked at Jin Zhangkong worriedly. Senior brother elder, should we go to the elders' hall and communicate with the elders about this matter? This matter is Su Fong's own matter. Prince Shui won't fight, so we don't need to worry. Jin Zhangkong still insisted on his previous opinion. More catastrophe realm disciples appeared in the surroundings. One by one, they passed through the formation and watched every movement of the formation. And Su Fong's voice also seeped into the center of the core dojo, wave after wave. You have the guts, but do you have the strength to defeat Prince Shui? In another dojo deep in the depths, Huang Lingyao floated alone in the spirit fog. In her palm, there was a lightning sword chi slowly swimming like a lightning snake. If Su Fong was here, he would definitely recognize this lightning sword chi. It was the Yinshao lightning sword that set off a shocking aura in the Wu-Tan realm. You are a tiger, and you have the qualifications to be a fierce tiger. Haiqing didn't tell me the truth. Your strength is deeply hidden. Haiqing went on an adventure with you, and it was a blessing and a curse. But Haiqing said that she didn't even know a little bit of your strength and special methods. Did she think that would make me believe her? Haiqing, my good sister, why would you disregard our hundreds of years of friendship and protect a man for a man? There's a secret behind it. Is it because Ocean City has never been so interested in a man before? Even Crown Prince Shui has never moved Ocean City. There are so many powerful disciples in the sect, but none of them were able to catch her eye. Su Fong, you really are capable. I don't want to restrict you too much right now. If you can defeat Crown Prince Shui, I'll definitely have you in my hands. Huang Lingyao said with a gloomy smile. She then looked outside the array. Bang, I'm so angry. In the same core dojo. The difference was that Prince Shui wasn't as leisurely as Huang Lingyao, waiting to watch a good show. Because Prince Shui was the good show that Huang Lingyao was waiting to put on. At this moment, Prince Shui slapped out with his palm, causing the surrounding palace to shake and almost collapse. Old ancestor, there's no need to be angry. Just let Fong Yu cause a ruckus outside. He's just a mad dog. He must be fearless because he has connections with the Grand Elder and has offered treasures for the sect. Shuelong was waiting outside the hall. When he heard the commotion, he hurried over. I just want peace. I don't care about this Fong Yu. But if he keeps shouting like this, everyone in the Celestial Ceiling sect will think that I'm afraid of him. According to the reports of the people below, all the disciples in the sect are paying attention to Fong Yu's every move. It seems that I shouldn't have cared about Huang Lingyao's face and killed him in front of everyone. If I had killed him, I wouldn't have had this trouble today. If it wasn't for the fact that the sect needs to protect him, I would have already gone out and crushed him. In his rage, Prince Shui really wanted to kill someone. Chapter 446. One day, 2 days, several days in a row. There were roughly 200,000 disciples from the 7 great grotto heaven, the immortal groping heaven, and the 3 dimensions. They watched as Su Fong stood on the spell formation and challenged the house of Immortal Ceiling's Taoist temple to battle. But after so many days, Prince Shui hadn't appeared. He hadn't even responded. Even the higher-ups of the Immortal Ceiling sect hadn't appeared. They were just hiding behind the Immortal Ceiling sect, watching Su Fong from a distance. I don't think Prince Shui will come out. Yeah, if he wanted to come out, he'd already be here. He's the leader of the Crown Prince Society, one of the disciples of the 3 exalted Daos. Look at Fong Yu. He might be a sect leader, but his cultivation base is still in the undead realm. After so many days, I still don't see what Fong Yu is capable of. But Prince Shui isn't simple. His mental state is too strong. No matter how Fong Yu challenges him, he won't show up. If it were anyone else, they probably wouldn't be able to sit still. Fong Yu isn't an ordinary person either. He knows Prince Shui won't accept the challenge, but he's still here acting like he's the only one in the Immortal Ceiling sect. What a joke. What a joke. As long as Prince Shui doesn't show up, no matter how much trouble he causes, he'll just be a joke. Prince Shui doesn't care about him at all. He's a complete clown. He's like a drunkard on the streets. Haha. Prince Shui didn't show up, and the higher-ups didn't show up either. But the surrounding disciples were slowly losing their patience. They all viewed Su Fong as a madman. How could a madman do such a thing? Perhaps at this moment, however many people there would be different gazes or different thoughts. You still won't come out? He had been challenging people for over 10 days. The 10-year promise was about to end. Once it was over and Prince Shui didn't show up, then the 10-year promise would be a complete joke. What a joke. He didn't care about that. Standing here wasn't a joke. It was courage. Only with this kind of courage would he be qualified to make everyone laugh. Elder, it seems as you expected, Crown Prince Shui will not appear in the end. In the inner core dojo, Jin Zhongkong was surrounded by more than 20 higher-ups from Frozen Moon, Cave Heaven. These days, they were also paying attention to the progress of the incident. Jin Zhongkong conversed with quite a few people. He had a resolute expression on his face as he firmly believed in his own opinion. In a deeper space, Master, you have to think of a way to force Prince Shui out. As one of the 3 grand elders, Elder Yuzhan was silently observing. He was like a bystander, calmly watching from a spectator's point of view. Perhaps it was because they wanted to go together. In front of the celestial ceiling sect, Su Fong didn't challenge anyone. Instead, he remained silent. Many people didn't understand why he suddenly stopped challenging. Most people thought that Su Fong had already given up. There's only one way. He glanced at him calmly and said, "Back on the flying celestial island, there is absolutely no need for him to appear to deal with me." In the end, he still appeared. This proves that although Prince Shui is a shrewd person, he still has a weakness. Moreover, with his status, if we add fuel to the fire, we will definitely be able to force him out. Many disciples' eyes lit up. Su Fong once again unleashed his divine might. However, unlike before, he directly used the heavenly devil unsealing seal. He raised his voice and said, "I, Fong Yu, accept Prince Shui's challenge once more. You're a grand disciple of the exalted Tao, the leader of a faction. Are you afraid that a mere undying Tao disciple like me will defeat you? Is that why you don't dare to come out?" His challenge was directed at the celestial ceiling sect's dojo. Su Fong continued, "You're an exalted Tao disciple. How could I forget that you wouldn't be afraid of a mere ordinary disciple like me? However, if you're still the leader of a faction, you have to show yourself and fight me." Back then, the Crown Prince Society invited me, an ordinary disciple, to join the Crown Prince Society, but I decisively refused. Since then, the Crown Prince Society has treated me as an enemy. Back then, members of the Crown Prince Society constantly harassed me and even tried to assassinate me. How laughable! How laughable! I always thought that the members of the Crown Prince Society were incredible, that they were all geniuses with shocking techniques. Never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined that when they tried to kill me, they ended up dying to my saber, one after another. I don't even know how many people I've killed. However, I do remember one time, a member of Prince Shui's clan, Qing or something. He was young, but he put aside his lofty status and said that he represented Prince Shui in punishing me. He said that I was blaspheming the Crown Prince Society and that he wanted to cut me into 8 pieces. Even as Su Fong looked around, he saw that many of the disciples were completely flabbergasted. Not just flabbergasted, but also shocked. Some of the disciples even wished they could pounce on Su Fong and bite him to death. Apparently, they were all members of the Crown Prince Society. Of course, Su Fong didn't care what the higher-ups in the House of Immortal Ceiling were thinking. In order to force Prince Shui to come out, he was ready to throw caution to the wind. Su Fong even began to laugh like thunder. That descendant of the Shui clan said that the Crown Prince Society reigned supreme over everything, and that if he wanted to kill an ordinary disciple like me, it would be as easy as pie. He even led a group of people to chase me down, ambush me, and try to kill me. I, Fong Yu, am not the type of person to be controlled by others. If they wanted to kill me, they put a saber to my neck. The most laughable thing is that the members of the Crown Prince Society who tried to kill me actually thought that I was afraid of them. In the end, they all died at my hands. I, Fang Yu, am not afraid to admit that I killed disciples of the sect. Fighting in the sect is a violation of sect law. But I'm just an ordinary disciple. If I hadn't risked my life, I would have long since been devoured by a pack of hungry wolves. Why would the Crown Prince Society want to kill me? Why would I have to obediently wait to die? Who will want to die? Who will want to die? Everyone wants to live. The people from the Crown Prince Society who tried to kill me forced me into a corner. As the saying goes, even a rabbit bites when cornered. If the sect wants to determine right and wrong, then let's determine whether it was me who was in the wrong to kill my fellow disciples, or the members of the Crown Prince Society who tried to kill me. Prince Shui, did you hear that? I don't know if you were the one who wanted them to kill me, but let me tell you something. 10 years ago, in front of the gate of Immortal Jia, I admitted to killing members of the Crown Prince Society in front of countless other disciples. Today I, Fang Yu, will stand here and repeat to the entire sect that I, Fang Yu, have killed quite a few members of the Crown Prince Society. If you're the leader of a society, then shouldn't you avenge them? That's what a leader should do. Furthermore, I personally killed members of the Shui clan. With that, Su Fang thought to himself, provocation? Now that things have reached this point, can Prince Shui just sit there and do nothing? What gall! I've never seen someone so fearless of death. He actually admitted to killing fellow disciples. That's a major crime. What major crime? Those members of the Crown Prince Society brought it on themselves. They're a majestic organization, and yet they went after an ordinary disciple. They forced him into a corner, and he didn't even fight back. The Crown Prince Society is going too far. Aren't we disciples? They can openly kill people, but they want us to die. What kind of logic is that? Su Fang's words completely ignited the thoughts of the surrounding disciples. The members of the Crown Prince Society all hoped that Su Fang would be killed, and they would speak up for the Crown Prince Society. Furthermore, the majority of them were openly standing on Su Fang's side, denouncing the Crown Prince Society. It seemed that there were members of the Fragrant Jade Society and Stone Saint Society among them. How could they let go of such a good opportunity to strike the Crown Prince Society? Su Fang, Huang Lingyao, who was hiding in the core Taoist temple, couldn't help but slap the table in praise. You really are a genius. Before, I thought you were just someone with your own ideas. You weren't content with the status quo. You had ambitions, ideas, and goals. But now, I can't see through you at all. If it weren't for the difference in cultivation level, you wouldn't be any weaker than Prince Shui. His only advantage is that he's been cultivating for longer than you. It seems I really need to raise you. I'll do everything in my power to make you stronger. Then I'll use you as a sharp sword to get rid of Prince Shui and Shang Changsheng. Once I become the leader of the House of Immortal Bestowal, I'll be a paragon. At that time, no one will be able to threaten me. Prince Shui, your only weakness is that you're blindly arrogant. You don't place anyone in your eyes. In your eyes, the only person you care about is yourself and no one else. You view yourself as the center, as if you want everyone to view you as their leader. How could you possibly know that there are heavens beyond heavens? Huang Lingyao continued to smile as he continued to grow more and more confident. Elder, who would have thought that Fang Yu would dare to admit to killing a fellow disciple in front of the sect? That way, wouldn't Prince Shui be able to demand that the sect punish him for killing a fellow disciple? In the sky above Ice Moon Grotto, the higher-ups around Jin Changkong were all discussing what they were thinking. When Jin Changkong heard that, he shook his head and muttered, I never would have guessed that Fang Yu would be so determined. It seems challenging Prince Shui wasn't something he did in the heat of the moment. I don't think Prince Shui will ask the Hall of Elders to make a decision, said one of the higher-ups. First of all, this matter proves how domineering the Crown Prince Society is in the sect. It shows the sect that the three great factions are growing stronger day by day. If they make a decision, wouldn't they be openly condoning the three great factions? That would be unfair to individual disciples. That would be telling all the disciples that joining a faction would make things easier for them. If that were the case, wouldn't the 7 great grotto heavens lose their usefulness? Wouldn't it be better for the sect to only have the three great factions? Furthermore, Fang Yu is no longer an ordinary disciple. He has performed meritorious deeds for the sect, and the sect will protect him. Right now, all the disciples are paying close attention to this matter. If there's no justice, the sect won't be able to stand firm. Your analysis is absolutely correct. I never would have thought that Fang Yu would be able to cause such a huge stir in the sect. Even the sect can't do anything about it. On the other hand, a genius has finally appeared in our grotto heavens. A true genius. Let's wait a bit longer. Let's see what Prince Shui decides. After Jin Zhongkong nodded, his previous confidence disappeared completely. As an elder, he had seen many people. But this time, he was unable to see through an undying disciple. Kill. Kill. Prince Shui's training grounds. In front of the palace. There were dozens of people who were Prince Shui's closest friends. They were most likely his family members. They were all staring at Su Fang outside the training grounds. They were all shouting to kill him. They couldn't hold themselves back. Everything else was fine, but how could the Shui family members calm down after publicly announcing that they had killed them? Fang Yu, stop barking like a dog and going around biting people. Today, I, Prince Shui, will fulfill your wish. I accept your challenge. In a flash of lightning, Crown Prince Shui flew out of the core Dao right temple in his fury. Chapter 447. That's the Crown Prince's voice. How is that possible? 10 years will pass in the blink of an eye. After today, the 10-year aura will be nullified. There's no need for him to come out. What do you know? As a venerated Dao disciple, Prince Shui has been challenged for almost a month. If he doesn't come out now, it will more or less affect his reputation. You're right. Wonderful. I've been waiting for so long. I thought Fang Yu was going to be a one-man show. Now that Prince Shui has appeared, the main show is finally about to begin. How terrifying was a venerated Dao disciple's divine power. Prince Shui's divine power came from the core training field. It was like a flash flood, turning into a fierce beast that rushed in all directions of the celestial sealing sect. At this moment, all the disciples knew that Prince Shui had appeared. Su Fang, I have to admit that I respect you. Even if you die at Prince Shui's hands, you're still a character. To be able to provoke Prince Shui to this extent, Huang Lingyao used a divine power to pass through countless arrays. Prince Shui appeared in the depths of the arrays as fast as lightning, flying out of the core training field. Elder, Prince Shui has accepted the challenge. Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven, many of the higher-ups were dumbfounded. Jin Chongkong was the same. When he heard Prince Shui's divine power, he immediately formed a hand seal. From the array in front of him, Prince Shui's figure really appeared. A venerated Dao disciple would accept the challenge of an undying Dao disciple. Crown Prince Shui, could it be that you're doing this to publicly display your thunderous methods to the entire sect? Jin Chongkong sighed. He then looked at the crowd. Since Prince Shui has accepted the challenge, we can't just stand here and watch anymore. Fang Yu is a disciple of the Grotto Heaven and also a sect master. We have to go out and bear witness. Whether they fight or not has nothing to do with us. Whoosh! Everyone also flew out of the core training field at this moment, in the depths of the sect, where even the elders couldn't enter freely. A young man in a white robe turned from an illusion to reality. It was the leader, Ling Mubai. With the immortal body, it's much more convenient to travel through galaxies than before. After a few more days, I should also ascend to the great world and leave this small world to become an immortal. Ling Mubai's body returned to normal. His body hair and long hair seemed to be breathing. Thanks to the spell formation, he was able to see the house of Immortal Sealing's Taoist right temple. Prince Shui appeared in his eyes as he flew out of the training field. You're in too much of a rush. You're too eager for quick success. The disciples of the three great Tao of Paragons are all outstanding individuals. They were carefully selected by the elders, and in the end, were personally appointed by me. Each one of them has had their own fortuitous encounters, and their strength is also different. Perhaps I've spoiled them too much. The three great sects I established are now in a tug-of-war with the 7 heavenly grottos. They all make me worry. But as a disciple of the Venerables, they represent the will of the sect and my power. As long as they don't cross the line, I'll let them do whatever they want. Last time, Fanyu sensed that kid. He's at the 10th undying stage. His body contains the aura of the Shinja Gate. He also has a bit of source energy. They're all geniuses. They're all arrogant. As the leader, I can't be unfair. Fanyu gave us a Dao item so that the sect can obtain all the secrets of the Shinja Gate. Even the disciples of the 3 Venerables and the rest of the sect can't compare to that. I respect your choice. The future is in your hands. No matter what the result is, I have to start making plans. No matter which side wins, I have to do something. It's time to suppress the influence of the 3 Venerables. Ling Mubai sat in the air, and a throne appeared around him. As the leader, he could control any formation of the immortal sealing sect. Prince Shui, you're finally willing to come out. Outside the training field, the hundreds of thousands of disciples were no longer looking at Su Fang. Instead, they were looking at the training field. That was because Prince Shui was about to appear. Su Fang stood atop the spell formation, his hands clasped behind his back. He was breathing slowly. Swish! A figure flew out from the front of the training field. He's here. Countless disciples were staring at him with respect, shock, and unease. Prince Shui broke through the formation. His aura was like the fury of heaven and earth. The surrounding disciples felt like their hearts were about to leap out of their throats. Behind him were Shui Long, the crown prince of the Qing kingdom, and dozens of other high-level members of the Crown Prince Society. Some of them even had cultivation bases higher than Prince Shui's. If a cultivator who didn't know what was going on saw this, they would assume that Prince Shui was the leader of the immortal sealing sect. He had so many experts escorting him. Su Fang said calmly. He didn't avoid Prince Shui's fierce killing intent. Prince Shui, Fanyu, have been waiting for you here for a long time. This spell formation was built for you and me. It's in accordance with our agreement of 10 years. 10 years. In a breath's time, Prince Shui stopped in front of the spell formation, less than a kilometer away from Su Fang. He looked at Su Fang disdainfully and shook his head. What 10 years agreement? Why don't I remember? I'm here because you ran your mouth. I told you to shut up. You're just an undying disciple. How could you possibly disrupt the order of the sect? Huh? But Su Fang laughed. 10 years ago, I challenged you to a duel in Shinja Gate. You accepted. Do you think I'd be lying through my teeth? Back then, 100,000 disciples were all around. They can all testify. Perhaps they don't dare to stand out now for fear of offending you, Prince Shui. But the truth is the truth. Prince Shui also laughed. You've gone to great lengths to disrupt the order of the sect, and you still dare to spout nonsense. As a disciple of the Reverend's Tao, I have the right to punish you. Punish me? You're a disciple of the Reverend's Tao. What right do you have to punish me? You have to go through the elders. I'm no longer the disciple you casually stepped on in Shinja Gate 10 years ago. You don't have the right to punish me. 10 years agreement, Prince Shui, I know what you're thinking. It's true that you came to accept the duel, but you purposely put a false charge on me. And by standing out to punish me, you're actually indirectly attacking me. You agreed to the duel, didn't you? You're a disciple of the Reverend's Tao. There are too many things you can't let go of. Aren't you tired of living like this? If I were you, I'd definitely kill those who humiliate me. I'm right, aren't I? Prince Shui, aren't I right? Also, I have to tell you to your face that Fanyu, really did kill your Shui family's descendant. If it were anyone else, they'd definitely come for revenge. Could it be that you, the Shui family's ancestor, would let me off so easily? Fine, I'll take a step back. If you don't want to accept the duel, then I'll just say one thing. I'm sure that the sect and countless other disciples also want one thing from you. If you say in front of countless people and in front of me that you, Prince Shui, won't accept the duel and will never come for revenge, then I'll remove the formation and voluntarily go to the Hall of Elders. I'll accept any punishment from the Hall of Elders. I'll do it willingly, without any objections. In front of Crown Prince Shui, countless fellow disciples, as well as the countless core disciples and upper echelon members of the Taoist Right Temple, Su Fang extended a finger and made a solemn vow. After saying that, he even patted his chest and waved his finger at Prince Shui again. Prince Shui, on the other hand, remained silent. He had no choice but to remain silent. He was shocked. He never would have thought that an undying disciple from Su Fang would be able to checkmate him. He was one step behind. How could an undying disciple see through his plans so clearly? Su Fang then shouted at the octagonal training hall. One word, just one word. Let's end it here today. Isn't it very simple, everyone? Yeah, he's wasting our energy. He's also a venerated Tao disciple. He doesn't have the courage to make a prompt decision. If it were the other two venerated Tao disciples, they'd definitely give an answer. Is this really a venerated Tao disciple? He doesn't have the slightest bit of style. He's already said it like this. Whether it's a duel or a truce, there has to be an answer. The surrounding disciples were probably members of the Fragrant Jade Party and the Stone Saint Party. They seized this opportunity to provoke Prince Shui. In truth, those words were what they truly thought in their hearts. A venerated Tao disciple would never have thought that they would be so powerless in front of an undying disciple. Fang Yu. Unexpectedly, Prince Shui spoke without any warning. I'm a venerated Tao disciple, and also your senior apprentice brother. I've humbly declined time and time again because I didn't want to fight with you. Indeed, I didn't want to fight with you because on the arena, life and death are up to the heavens. I didn't want to destroy a talented disciple like you in front of the training hall. But now that you don't know what's good for you, you're forcing me step by step like a mad dog. I have to take action and teach you a lesson for the sect. Haha, don't make yourself sound so dignified. These beautiful words are useless to me. I believe the other disciples also know that you're looking for an excuse for yourself. Since you've accepted the challenge, then come up. Su Fang instantly flew into the sky. Fellow disciples, today I'll take action and teach a disciple who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth a lesson. If I don't take action, who will put the sect in their eyes in the future? Almost at the same time, Prince Shui also flew into the formation. Hoo-hoo-hoo. After the two of them moved, many figures flew out of the immortal ceiling sect. Catastrophe Realm Aura. It was the upper echelons of the immortal ceiling sect. Jin Changkong, Yuan Tianzong, and the other elders could be seen in the center. Around them were the various dojos, as well as the upper echelons from the core dojos. There were more than 100 Catastrophe Realm experts, and almost all of them had a cultivation level higher than Prince Shui. The hundreds of thousands of disciples also bowed to the upper echelons. Yuan Tianzong glanced at Jin Changkong. The latter announced, "The sect respects each disciple's wishes. Since Fang Yu and Crown Prince Shui are willing to fight, then the sect also agrees to this competition. However, during this process, you're not allowed to use Dharma treasures. You can only use divine abilities. Now, the two of us will form a competition arena for the two disciples. Rise!" The upper echelons shouted together. Dozens of Xian Guang flew out. These Xian Guang wrapped around Su Fang and Prince Shui, slowly forming a solid formation space. The strength of the formation was at least at the level of a King Grey Dao artifact. The show is about to begin. Once the formation space was formed, and with the upper echelons overseeing it, Su Fang and Prince Shui could start fighting. The hundreds of thousands of disciples watched anxiously, wanting to know the result. A fierce battle. How many years have you, Prince Shui, been unstoppable? Who would have thought that you would be like a headless fly by an indestructible cultivator today? Huang Lingyao also came to the edge of the formation. She would miss this good show. Moreover, from the depths of the dojos, many women flew over. There were dozens of them, led by Lan Haicheng and the other Catastrophe Realm women. After they arrived, they silently stood to the side. Inside the formation, Prince Shui retracted his gaze from the upper echelons and immediately looked at Su Fang. "Fang Yu, as you wish, I'm about to make a move. This time, it's different from last time. Last time, at Xinjia Gate, I represented the sect to punish you. I know you're still holding a grudge, but the arena is merciless. You should leave behind your last words. For someone like you who's courting death, many people will see clearly what kind of person you are. But what he didn't expect was that Su Fong remained silent. He seemed to have returned to Xinjia Gate, the Su Fong who endured the pain and didn't say a word. Chapter 448. At this moment, for some reason, it was like 10 years ago. It was also in front of countless disciples, and also Su Fong facing Prince Shui. Su Fong was still weak, and Prince Shui was still that imposing, venerable Tao disciple. Don't tell me you don't want to leave behind any last words. Prince Shui waited for a while. Seeing that Su Fong didn't say a word, he couldn't help but raise his mouth. You're interesting. So what if you die? Your life is so lowly. I'll give you one more chance. Leave behind your last words, and I'll give you another chance. Otherwise, when the killing intent comes, I won't be able to suppress my strength and will kill you by mistake. After saying that, he thought that Su Fong would say something. From the beginning, in Prince Shui's eyes, Su Fong was just a clown who was trying to please the crowd. Challenge him to a fight or a 10-year promise? All of this was directed and acted out by Su Fong alone. Prince Shui never took him seriously, because from the beginning, he never treated Su Fong as an enemy. What a freak. At this time, Fong Yu didn't say a word. I remember that 10 years ago, at the Xinjia Gate, he was stripped of 2 magic treasures and a large amount of resources by Prince Shui. He even had his left arm crippled. He was living a life worse than death, but he never cried out in pain or said a word. I also remember that scene. At that moment, Fong Yu's courage was commendable. What courage? I think he's stupid. Why did he seek death? He dared to challenge Prince Shui at the Xinjia Gate, which already proved everything. At that time, he had already become the topic of discussion among the cultivators of Zhuotian realm. Do you know what everyone was saying? How would I know? They said that Prince Shui was too strong, and that Fong Yu dared to challenge Prince Shui. He was a courageous person. How many people agreed and recognized him? Unfortunately, he still had to die at the hands of Prince Shui. Many disciples from all directions were talking at this moment. However, these voices were all clearly heard by Su Fong. He could not help but look up at the sky. 10 years. In these 10 years, he had not relaxed for a single moment. He had persevered every single day, gritting his teeth and persevering. It was all for the sake of becoming stronger and not forgetting the humiliation. After becoming stronger, through cultivation, he would come to this day 10 years later to prove himself. He wanted to claim back the dignity that belonged to him from Prince Shui. I really don't understand. What is he thinking right now? He seems to be in a daze. Inside the dojo, the women clustered around Huang Lingyao held their breaths. They all supported Su Fong, so they were also guessing Su Fong's every move. Xuan Xinyao said, "It's very similar to the Xinjia Gate from 10 years ago." Xiang Ruru was anxious. "Senior sister, could it be that you know what he's thinking?" More women were waiting. Xuan Xinyao looked at Huang Lingyao, Lan Haicheng, and other powerful figures. Back then at the Xinjia Gate, just like now at the sect, Prince Shui suppressed and stepped on Fong Yu's head time and time again. He forcefully stripped away the magic treasure that he had fused with and cut off his left arm. Did you know that from the beginning, Su Fong did not say a single word? No one could tell what he was thinking. Could it be that he's really an idiot? Are all men idiots? Sisters, are there idiots like Fong Yu? He's not an idiot. Senior sister Xinyao, right? The women looked at Xuan Xinyao again. Her pair of big watery eyes were like big black grapes. Xuan Xinyao continued. At the Xinjia Gate, Fong Yu faced Prince Shui's oppression and did not say a single word from the beginning to the end. But at the end, he spoke and challenged Prince Shui and admitted that he had killed a member of the Prince Shui's party. After that, he fled into the Xinjia Gate to avoid being hunted down by the enraged Prince Shui. Therefore, Fong Yu is not an idiot. He's a person with great courage. He's enduring and stimulating his own will. Just like at the Xinjia Gate, he made the shocking move of escaping into the Xinjia Gate to avoid being hunted down by Prince Shui. Now that he's keeping silent, it means that he's stimulating his will and is about to explode. Could it be that his silence is to condense his strength and challenge Prince Shui in his strongest state? After hearing this, the women were all shocked, because they couldn't think of this layer, and from Xuanqin Yao's analysis, it was obviously not far from the truth. At this moment, when they looked at Su Fang again, the look in their eyes was very different from before. Haicheng, Huang Lingyao seemed indifferent to Xuanqin Yao's words. She stared outside the formation, but secretly released her thoughts to Lan Haicheng. Do you agree with Xin Yao's words? Lan Haicheng was startled. Junior sister is very attentive and meticulous. I think Su Fang is this kind of person. He's enduring in silence and will eventually turn all difficulties into strength. Senior sister, do you agree? Of course I agree. If I didn't believe in him, I wouldn't value Su Fang so much. A ripple of light flashed through Huang Lingyao's spirit eyes. Outside the formation, regardless of whether it was the ordinary disciples of the 7 great Dao halls or the hidden core disciples outside, as well as the higher-ups, they were all staring at the formation in the sky. Just as everyone thought that Su Fang wouldn't say a word, and that Prince Shui was already emitting killing intent and was about to attack, Su Fang suddenly looked at Prince Shui. He was like an old monk in meditation, calm and composed. I have something to say. Prince Shui laughed in surprise. Leave your last words. Su Fang murmured, 10 years ago, in the Xinjia Gate, you, Crown Prince Shui, repeatedly accused me of colluding with the celestial drill rat to kill fellow disciples. But in truth, it was the members of the Crown Prince Society who wanted to kill me. In order to survive, I had no choice but to join forces with the celestial drill rat to kill me. That was all for the sake of survival. I have to make this clear to the sect and to everyone else. The people who wanted to kill me were Shuelong, the Crown Prince of the Qing Kingdom, and other high-level members of the Crown Prince Society. Nonsense. Shuelong and the Crown Prince of Qing flew into a rage. You're just 2 dogs. You don't have a right to bark in front of me. Prince Shui, you have to watch your lackeys. If they randomly bite people, it means there's a problem with your education. Within the formation, Su Fang wasn't afraid at all. In front of countless eyes, he didn't give the Crown Prince Society, Prince Shui, and the other experts any face. He said that Shuelong and the Crown Prince of Qing were lackeys in front of everyone. Prince Shui couldn't hold it in any longer. His killing intent almost turned into 2 dots in his eyes, ready to burst out at any moment. He didn't stop Su Fang either. From his point of view, as long as he killed Su Fang, everything would become a rumor, a joke. If the sect wants to punish me for a great crime, then I, Fang Yu, just want justice. Just because you're a disciple of the sovereign Dao, you think you can bully and humiliate me, an ordinary disciple with no status in the sect? There are thousands upon thousands of disciples like me in the sect. Do we all have to lower our heads to you? Is that why you pity us and give us a way out? Let me tell you something you don't like to hear, but you're just a disciple of the sovereign Dao, not the leader of the sect. I know you wish you could cut me into 1,000 pieces right now to vent your hatred. Prince Shui, I, Su Fang, am just an ordinary disciple. I admit that, but I don't admit it. I will willingly lower my head to you and submit to your authority. 10 years ago, you were able to step on my head and forcibly strip me of my magical treasures in front of 100,000 disciples. But 10 years later, I swear to the heavens that if I, Su Fang, lose to you in today's battle, Prince Shui, then I will honor my words and commit suicide on the spot. That's all I want to say. Killing intent poured out of Su Fang's eyes. After he finished speaking, it was completely cold. It was like starlight in the depths of the starry river, able to travel through thousands of spaces. I'll treat these words as your last words. If I, Prince Shui, can't defeat you today, then I'll give you the position of the sovereign Dao's disciple. Prince Shui didn't get angry. He began to release his aura. His cultivation base was at the 7th level of the Calamity Realm. He was dozens of times stronger than Blue Sea City. He didn't say another word. His aura became more and more terrifying. It turned into Daluo, heavenly sword chi that was released from Prince Shue's pores. Almost every hair on his head was a strand of sword chi. The sword chi became sharper and sharper, shaking the formation. What a piercing sword sound. My head is about to explode. Retreat. Outside the formation, many disciples below the Yang Soul realm were uneasy. They covered their ears in panic and began to move away from the formation. We can't even stand it outside the formation. How is it that an imperishable realm cultivator with the same cultivation base as us can remain unmoved inside the formation? Yeah, it's really strange. Could it be that this kid isn't an idiot? He actually has the strength to challenge Prince Shui? I'm afraid that's the case. I don't think Fang Yu is the idiot everyone thinks he is. He looks like he's courting death, but he actually has the strength. Some of the disciples from the immortal Grope Heaven, and even some from the Ice Moon Paradise, were shocked to see Su Fang floating motionlessly in the middle of the spell formation. They couldn't withstand Prince Shue's sword chi even though they were outside the formation. They were both in the imperishable realm, but why was Su Fang able to withstand it inside the formation? Fang Yu is hiding his strength. Everyone, look, Prince Shue's aura is becoming more and more powerful. He's in the calamity realm. His divine might should be able to suppress Fang Yu and make him lose his ability to fight. But he's still fine. He's not moving at all. Even though he's in the imperishable realm, he's still so extraordinary. Could it be that he has the strength to cross realms to the Yang Soul realm at the 10th level of the imperishable realm? Anyway, just a moment ago, I thought Prince Shui could kill Fang Yu with his aura. But now, it seems that there's still a good show to watch. Hundreds of thousands of disciples retreated. Only the Yang Soul realm and the higher-ups were left standing around the formation. All the disciples, regardless of their realms, were puzzled by Su Fang's strength. They were also curious about how strong he was. How can Fang Yu be so powerful? Shui Lung and the Crown Prince of Great Qing, who were closest to the formation, knew how terrifying Prince Shue's aura was. But now, they realized that Su Fang wasn't affected at all. It was unbelievable that he was able to remain calm inside the space. Fang Yu, it seems that you have some strength. You're in the 10th level of the imperishable realm, right? Back in the Xinjia Gate, you weren't able to withstand my divine might. But now, you're able to withstand my aura. Let's see how long you can last. With your cultivation, I don't even need to do anything. Inside the formation, the Daluo heavenly sword chi buzzed. It seemed that Prince Shui didn't want to kill Su Fang immediately. Instead, he wanted to torture him in front of countless disciples and sects, making him wish he was dead. Buzz, buzz, buzz. More sword sounds began to explode, forming sword sound waves that began to surge. Under Prince Shue's sharp gaze, they rushed towards Su Fang. Su Fang didn't say a word. He began to activate the flesh fetus divine armor, and first released the energy in his golden core origin. Energy was one of the most important factors in this battle with Prince Shui. You want to suppress me with this aura? Su Fang secretly released his energy, and the flesh fetus divine armor appeared on his body. It can indeed crush any imperishable realm cultivator, but my strength is already in the Yang Soul realm. You're too arrogant. Bang, bang, bang. The sword sound waves pressed down on Su Fang. Like a giant's arm, it pushed Su Fang back. His aura resisted, and in an instant, dazzling starlight exploded. Prince Shui said proudly, "If you only have this much strength, then you can't even resist my aura." Chapter 449. He didn't even attack, but his aura forced Su Fang to retreat. Although many disciples acknowledged that Su Fang had a certain level of strength, challenging Prince Shui with this was a huge joke. Zzz after retreating a few steps, Su Fang's Daluo heavenly sword chi aura from Prince Shui was no longer able to shake him. His aura also began to be released. It was also sword chi. However, it couldn't form a terrifying sword sound, but a sword chi web. Zzz Su Fang's sword chi aura began to resist Prince Shue's aura. Although it couldn't crush his opponent's aura, Su Fang wasn't at a disadvantage. I told you, Fang Yu definitely has some shocking methods. See, He can now resist Prince Shui's aura. Some disciples began to discuss. I'll release my aura to the catastrophe realm. Let's see if he can still stand. Prince Shui wasn't deaf. Hearing that some disciples supported Su Fang, he didn't feel good. As a dignified, venerable Dao disciple, he couldn't stand these jokes. The Daoyuo heavenly sword Qi aura instantly formed an aura barrier. Catastrophe realm aura. This meant that Su Fang was starting to use Undying Stage 10 to fight against Prince Shui's aura, but it was only at the catastrophe realm. It's getting more and more exciting. We're not blind. We all know that Prince Shui is slowly teaching Fang Yu a lesson. Fang Yu is just a shooting star in the end. He can only be remembered for an instant. Prince Shui is the sun and moon in the sky, eternally shining. Some catastrophe realm disciples began to hold their breaths. ZZZZ, the aura waves that crowned Prince Shui release suppressed Su Fang's sword chi network to the point that it was directly shattered by the aura waves. Soon, Su Fang's aura would be completely dispersed. Strong, too strong. In such a situation, Su Fang wasn't afraid. Instead, he was full of vigor. Why? Many people didn't understand this. Seeing Prince Shui gaining the upper hand step by step, why didn't Su Fang show any fear? In the past, most of my enemies were resolved or slain by the combination of magical equipment. But this time, I'm fighting Prince Shui face to face with my own strength. That's why I can see myself and the formidability of Prince Shui clearly. I've already reached the peak of the undying 10th layer. As someone who can surpass realms, my strength is ultimately unable to surpass the catastrophe realm. He's been cultivating for 1,000 years, and I've only been cultivating for a few years. My cultivation might not be as good as yours, but that doesn't mean I'm weaker than you. Right now, I'll use my core's power and my yang soul to make it so that you won't be able to suppress me. At this moment, Su Fang calmly saw the gap between him and Prince Shui. Prince Shui had just released his aura, but he had already been forced to his strongest state. If he didn't use his magical equipment, Su Fang would definitely be defeated by Prince Shui's power. But without his magical equipment, he still had more tricks up his sleeve. In his mind, Xianhuang's 6 Paths Pagoda and Rakshas's Jade Vase appeared. Master Xianhuang is also on standby. The 77 junior commanders have already released their power. This subordinate has also used all the essence of my power, leaving behind a vast amount of righteous energy. Just get ready. I don't need the junior commanders yet. This is my last resort. After replying, he immediately released the core's power in his body. It came from the Zhuotian realm's core, which was the core's stone flower absorbed and fused with the underground magma world. The stone flower and the flaming cloud spiritual gourd perfectly fused. The 2 spiritual treasures that contained the Zhuotian realm's core were connected to Su Fang's body, causing Su Fang's body to contain the core's power. In addition, he had a perfect body, so he could stimulate power that ordinary people couldn't use. Buzz, the core's power exploded, and the core's energy gushed out from the flaming cloud spiritual gourd, forming an invisible aura that spread throughout his body. In that instant, his sensing ability increased by more than 10 times. With just his vision, he once again saw the pushing and crushing airwaves. There were countless Daoyuo heaven sword chi inside, and its speed had also slowed down, forming a churning momentum. Its speed was only that of an ordinary person's running speed, but below, it crushed with an unstoppable momentum. The changes brought about by the essence's power allowed Su Fang to sense the Zhuotian realm's heaven and earth, as well as any energy and matter. He could also use the essence's power to control the energy of nature. Yangying. At this moment, all these thoughts and senses had only lasted for an instant to Su Fang. With a perfect body, he could already leave the barrier space to sense and control the vast energy of the world outside the formation. Therefore, the perfect body that contained the core's power had already reached a very high level of fusion with the formation and the world. When the Yang-Ying in the divine aperture exploded with divine power, the mysterious energy inside and outside the formation was like a divine image exploding. under the control of the yang, ing, and the physical body. It instantly fused with the aura in front of him. Path power immediately appeared. Prince Shue's aura was just one zhang away from suppressing and crushing Su Fang. What he didn't expect was that an invisible force, like a transparent wall, blocked the qi wave with the power of the yang-ing soul. What happened? Yeah, the Crown Prince's aura was about to crush Su Fang in less than 3 breaths. Did he use some kind of great divine ability? How could he suddenly block the aura of the catastrophe realm with the 10th level undying realm? It's the yang-ing. That's the power of the yang-ing. So Fang Yu has a yang-ing when he's in the undying realm. He really hit it well. I've never seen an undying realm cultivator with a yang-ing. There's not a single sect in the Zhuotian realm that has a yang-ing. A peerless genius, a peerless technique. At this second, with the power of the core, the perfect body, and the power of the yang-ing, he finally blocked Prince Shue's terrifying aura, immediately causing the senses of the surrounding disciples to explode. Many people exclaimed. Many people were shocked. What many people thought was impossible became possible in Su Fang's eyes. Prince Shui. Facing Prince Shue's terrifying aura, Su Fang calmly shouted, "I'm afraid you can't kill me with your aura. Do you think you can casually trample me under your feet? I won't tolerate your impudence. This time, I'll raise my aura to the 5th level of the catastrophe realm. Let's see if you can still be so stubborn when you turn into dust." Prince Shui was furious, but he didn't make a move. His aura was only at the 1st level of the catastrophe realm, but now it was at the 5th level of the catastrophe realm. In addition, he wasn't a simple cultivator, so his aura was at least 5 times stronger than an ordinary 5th level catastrophe realm cultivator. In other words, Su Fang was about to face an aura that was dozens of times stronger than before. Su Fang, I have a whole new level of respect for you. At the core of the training field, Huang Lingyao smiled. Unlike the powerful sovereign Dao disciple from before, she secretly released her thoughts. Haicheng, when you followed him back then, did you see his strength? An undying realm cultivator can withstand the catastrophe aura. I've never seen such a cultivator who can surpass his realm, even in all the small worlds I've visited. When he was in front of me, he didn't show such shocking strength. Lan Haicheng looked away from the distance and nodded at Huang Lingyao. This sister of mine has really changed. She's been with me for hundreds of years, but after a few years of contact with a man, she's already been bewitched by him. At this moment, Huang Lingyao sneered in her heart. I've given you everything, but you're biased towards a man. You've really disappointed me, but I'll give you a chance. Lan Haicheng didn't know what the other party was thinking. Elder, I never expected Fang Yu's potential to be so shocking. Not far from the arena's formation, Jin Changkong and many elders, as well as the sect's upper echelons, were witnessing the fight between the 2 disciples. Some of the Frozen Moon Cave's upper echelons were whispering to Jin Changkong. Behind them, Yin Kaifeng and Tai, Li Yingying, and the other upper echelons of the Frozen Moon Cave had also left the training hall to watch the fight outside. Li Yingying quietly pulled Yin Saifeng's sleeve. Junior sister, you've actually cultivated such a disciple with such potential. Prince Shui is a genius cultivated by the sect's elders and leaders, while Fang Yu is just a disciple from our cave. If Fang Yu can win this time, our cave will definitely become the sect's largest cave in a very short time. Then, many disciples will be able to directly enjoy the sect's resources, and more experts will be born. Sigh, why didn't I see Fang Yu's potential at that time? Yin Kaifeng was in a daze. She could only shake her head. In fact, I only saw a small part of his potential. Now I understand that when he went to the Myriad Treasures path to carry out a mission by himself, it wasn't a coincidence or luck that he was able to complete the mission and return safely to the sect. That kind of mission didn't have a trace of coincidence. It was based on his own strength. Li Yingying sighed again. If he continues like this, it won't be long before his strength reaches the same height as yours and mine. You and I are sect masters. Not only do we have to be strong, but we also have to make contributions to the sect and cultivate many talented disciples. Only then can we become the upper echelons of the sect. Although Fang Yu is also a sect master, and his strength is shocking, he still has a long way to go. You and I also have to have a sense of crisis. We can't let this new disciple catch up to us. The two girls were imagining how they would feel if Su Fang's strength surpassed theirs in the future. Chi inside the arena. Under countless gazes, Prince Shue's explosive aura turned into a monstrous wave that was 10 feet tall. It rushed directly towards Su Fang. I won't be as dumb as a block of wood and fight you head-on. Heaven Ruler, Divine Step. Su Fang didn't want to fight Prince Shui head-on just because he wanted to prove himself. In an instant, he used the power of his origin and used his young infant to control all the energy around him, turning it into an invisible defense again. Tap, tap, tap this time. The invisible defense was instantly shattered. Behind him, the layers of invisible defenses were also crushed by Prince Shue's terrifying aura. Many people felt their hearts freeze when they saw this. Su Fang suddenly used the Heaven Ruler Divine Step, a divine ability that had sealed his immortal sect. He combined it with his young infant. Strands of invisible energy cooperated with Su Fang to retreat and dodge this attack. You only know now that it's too late to run. Prince Shui looked like he was certain Su Fang was in his grasp. After shouting, Prince Shui pushed his aura forward, walking step by step towards Su Fang. It looked like Su Fang was about to die under this wave of aura, but there was always an invisible energy blocking it. Furthermore, Su Fang seemed to be using some kind of formation. He left behind afterimages in front of him, and wherever his afterimages passed, he would leave behind an indescribable power that blocked the wave of aura. Heaven Ruler Divine Step. That's the sect's supreme cultivation technique, the Heaven Ruler Divine Step. It really is the Heaven Ruler Divine Step. And it's not just a simple movement technique. It contains the true essence of the Heaven Ruler Divine Step. It's fused with space and formations. How did he manage to grasp the Heaven Ruler Divine Step at the 10th level of the indestructible realm? Even us young infant disciples aren't able to grasp it to such a level. This caused many young infant disciples to cry out in alarm once more. Prince Shui roared once more. The Heaven Ruler Divine Step can't save you. Is that so? The Heaven Ruler Divine Step is fused with the Grand Firmament Sword Qi. Suddenly, Su Fang, who seemed to be running away, took a step forward. Over 1,000 Grand Firmament Sword Qi flew out and struck the wave of aura. Chapter 450. Although the Daoyuo Heavenly Sword Qi couldn't break the aura wave, it was perfectly coordinated with the invisible defense, slowing down Prince Shue's aura by half a beat. How could he crush Su Fang with just his aura? Yuan Tianzong, who was standing next to Jin Changkong, praised in front of the higher-ups. Good guy, using the Heaven Ruler godly steps to the level of a catastrophe realm cultivator. This is what a genius disciple of the Celestial Sealing sect should be like. Old Jin, congratulations to the Frozen Moon Paradise for getting such a talent. Yeah. Many of the higher-ups nodded and smiled at Jin Changkong. Jin Changkong was also smiling in his heart. In the Celestial Sealing sect, even the factions established by the disciples of the three paths of Venerate were fighting openly and secretly. Many of the elders secretly supported the three factions. If the factions established by the disciples were like that, how fierce would the competition be in the 7 grotto heavens established by the sect? A genius disciple could change a grotto heaven. For example, the disciples of the three paths of Venerate were also from the 7 grotto heavens. With disciples like them, their grotto heavens would naturally surpass the other grotto heavens and become the best of the 7 grotto heavens. Sister Huanyan, do you really know that Fang Yu? He's so scary. He can compete with the legendary senior brother Prince Shui. Outer disciples. Among the female disciples of the Frozen Moon Paradise and the male disciples, Qian Huanyun was surrounded by many female disciples. From the beginning, many of them had been asking her about Su Fang. In the past, Qian Huanyun would answer all these questions one by one. However, at this moment, she only smiled and did not say anything. She looked at the other disciples of the same grotto heavens and found that they were all intimidated by Su Fang's strength. Suddenly, Qian Huanyan looked a bit sad. Fang Yu, are you the same person I knew back then? She thought back to all the years she had spent with Su Fang. Back then, because of the Berserker Markov Power Cauldron, you offended a lot of elder brothers from the undying and indestructible sects. I was worried that it would cause you trouble, so I kept my distance from you. Later, you offended the Crown Prince Society. Although we've had some dealings with each other, I've never considered you a friend. If you're really the person I know, then why didn't you accept my shallowness and my apologies? Why didn't I believe you when you helped me get the godly aspect in the 100-year trial? Why didn't I say a single word to you when you were in danger and ostracized by so many people? Qian Huanyun felt guilty. Indeed, she was the first person to have interacted with Su Fang, and she was also the first person to know Su Fang. Actually, I saw that you were extraordinary a long time ago. During the 100-year trials, you were able to escape the pursuit of everyone. Later on, you relied on your own strength to forcefully collect the magical treasures and resources of over 1,000 people. You single-handedly solved all the problems. Perhaps even Qian Huanyun himself could not describe how he felt at this moment. Is that still Fang Yu? He used to be number 1 on the mortal list. We fought with him, but we didn't see his talent and strength at that time. There were many disciples in the surroundings who had interacted with Su Fang before. Almost all of them were enemies and opponents. For example, the geniuses who were once on the mortal roll, such as Xiang Ying and Yin Tianxiang, were more shocked than most people. They were all geniuses on the mortal roll in the past. Why was Su Fang able to stand in front of countless disciples and fight with Prince Shui? Why was he able to become a master? Oh my God! Behind a myriad Dao Grotto Heavens disciples camp, a few lower Khanate Heavens disciples came to watch the show. They looked at the array formation for a while and heard people talking. One of the myriad Dao Grotto Heavens disciples was dumbstruck. Is he Fang Yu? This was a young disciple who was less than 30 years old. He was shocked. He's not Fang Yu. He's clearly a disciple from Tianmen province under my command, Su Fang. He's one of the people who destroyed Zhao back then. Tianmen's sacred emperor, the former lord of Tianmen province, had now become a disciple of the immortal sealing sect. Just like the 8th prince and Lu Lan, he had joined the myriad Dao Grotto Heaven. He was inwardly shocked. I'll never forget that traitor. He once joined the Heavenly Gate Prefecture and obtained my resources to become an expert. But in the end, he caused the destruction of my Heavenly Gate Prefecture. He almost killed me in the state of Zhao, forcing me to flee and hide in the southern wilderness. How could the lord of Tianmen province forget the pain of the past? He was a prefecture lord. Aside from Zhao, he was an emperor. But because of Su Fang, not only was Tianmen province destroyed, even Zhao, which he had joined, was turned into ruins. I have to calm down. If this person is really that Su Fang from the past, I'm not his match. I have to quickly go see the 8th prince and Zhao Wuji and tell them about Su Fang's identity. I believe they want to get rid of Su Fang more than I do and take revenge for Zhao. The sacred emperor of Tianmen did his best to hide the fear and killing intent in his heart. He stood behind the crowd with a group of Heaven's fusion disciples to watch the show. Heaven Ruler Divine Steps. Battle Array Arena Prince Shui tried to use his aura to kill Su Fang. But after trying a few times, his aura was unable to catch up to Su Fang. With his status, if he couldn't kill Su Fang with his aura, it would be a humiliation. If he fought with Su Fang, it would be a great humiliation. The hatred in his heart turned into a burning rage. Prince Shui suddenly rose. I have to attack. So Fang Yu really does have some tricks up his sleeve. Then I'll kill him in one move. Only then can I vent my hatred. His aura is a bit weaker. That's not right. Prince Shui should be raising his aura to deal with me. Why did he weaken it at this time? In the distance, Su Fang used the Heaven Ruler Divine Steps and the power of the Origin to fight against the aura wave. Combined with the Daluo Heavenly Sword Qi, he was able to protect himself. He could guarantee his safety. But with the support of the Jua Heavenly Realm's origin, he could sense that the aura wave in front of him was decreasing. What did this mean? Something was very wrong. He didn't know why, but all the hairs on his back stood up like needles. Moreover, there was the sound of ice. Could it be that he wants to attack me, for real? Su Fang's pupils constricted. He thought of something, and his entire body seemed to freeze. We're finally going to fight. Prince Shui, you can easily kill me, but I spent so much effort to force you to attack. It's coming, Prince Shui. Today, it's either you die or I live. Xian Wang, channel the junior commander's power into my flesh and meridians. Maintain a state of fusion with me at all times. The junior commander's power will be the foundation for me to fight against Prince Shui. Yes, master. After thinking this, he immediately began to prepare. He couldn't use magic treasures, but Su Fang could secretly borrow the power of magic treasures to strengthen himself with power that didn't belong to him. This was his ability. With the power of the origin, I didn't use up much of my energy. Next, the 3 Yang Meridians will be my capital to fight against Prince Shui. He once again activated the power of the origin. His perfection body reached the state of lifting something heavy as if it were light. When his body reached the pinnacle, he could kill people in 10 steps and kill enemies in 100 steps. With one punch, he had the power of 10,000 horses galloping. This was power, and power was greater than power. In an instant, Su Fang's hearing, vision, and perception all reached a state he had never reached before. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that everything in Su Fang's eyes slowed down by 10 times. Whether it was the chi waves chasing after him, the changes in Prince Shui's eyes, the operation of the formation space around him, or even the breathing of the countless disciples outside. Su Fang could feel it all, and it was incomparably clear. This wasn't just the power of the perfection physical body. With undying 10th layer cultivation, the perfection physical body couldn't reach such heights. It was the fusion of the Jua Tian realm's power of the perfection physical body. Perfect transformation. You want to kill me, Prince Shui? I'll make you dream of it. Next, I'll bring you an absolutely shameful action. Originally, at this time, he should deal with the changes by sticking to the status quo. He would wait for Prince Shui to move, then he would move. But Su Fang often didn't act according to common sense. He chose to deal with the status quo. Qi, an invisible force under the power of the young nascent soul, bombarded the aura of the giant wave. In addition, the aura of the giant wave had weakened a lot. This young nascent soul attack controlled the invisible force and cut a hole in the center of the giant wave. Qi, unexpectedly, a Daluo heavenly sword Qi, followed by a strange afterimage, passed through the hole in the giant wave and stabbed towards Prince Shui, who was several feet away. It was as fast as a spark. This wasn't the speed of an undying realm or young nascent realm cultivator, but the speed of a catastrophe realm cultivator. Clang! Prince Shui didn't expect at all that he had been careless. He had been too arrogant, thinking that Su Fang could only wait to be slaughtered. He couldn't see through his own thoughts. But he was wrong. Su Fang actually took the initiative to attack. Taking advantage of the fact that he had weakened the chi waves, it gave Su Fang a sudden killing intent. He pointed a finger, shattering the Daluo heavenly sword chi in front of him. But at this moment, Su Fang used the ruler's divine steps, leaving behind a net of swords that pounced towards Prince Shui. But he managed to withdraw in time. He couldn't get too close to Prince Shui. What's going on? I don't know either. Why did Fang Yu suddenly attack Prince Shui? He's too fast. He seems to have first shattered Prince Shui's aura, then used the ruler's divine steps to attack. Everything was as fast as lightning. We naturally couldn't react. Fortunately, the target was Prince Shui. If it were any other young nascent soul cultivator, they would have already been killed. Even a normal catastrophe realm cultivator wouldn't be able to resist such speed. Prince Shui was actually killed by Su Fang. Outside the formation, hundreds of thousands of disciples discussed like a tsunami. I'll kill you. Prince Shui's killing intent was completely aroused, and he no longer held a high and mighty attitude. He stared at Su Fong, who had flashed 10 feet away, and immediately took a step forward. Ruler's divine step swoosh. With a single step, the distance between them could be covered by countless footwork techniques. Prince Shui suddenly crossed the distance of 10 feet. A golden claw unceremoniously grabbed at Su Fong. Terrifying. Su Fong's pupils dilated at this moment. Prince Shui used the ruler's divine steps to another level. Coupled with the strength of the 7th level of the catastrophe realm, Su Fong could almost see the end of his life. It was an instinctive reaction, and Su Fong was already prepared. The golden claw was about to crush Su Fong. Su Fong used the ruler's divine steps again, but his speed wasn't as fast as Prince Shui's. At this moment, the golden claw from Prince Shui moved another foot forward. It was only 3 feet away from Su Fong's forehead. In almost the next second, Su Fong was about to be killed by the golden claw. An invisible blocking force changed along with Su Fong's aura. His gaze was sharp, forming a blocking force that hit Prince Shui. Boom, 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 a deafening explosion occurred 3 feet away from Prince Shui and Su Fong, as well as in the surroundings. The invisible force, which came from the control of the perfect source realm, couldn't stop Prince Shui's attack. He still controlled the golden claw to forcibly withstand the explosion. He pushed the explosion's light and pushed Su Fong back with the explosion's light. Chapter 451. At this moment, in the arena, Su Fong and Prince Shui were locked in a stalemate. It was Prince Shui's powerful golden claw that was 3 feet away from Su Fong. Along with the huge explosion caused by the collision, Prince Shui forced Su Fong to retreat. Many disciples felt cold and trembled, as if they were about to be frozen. 3 feet away, Prince Shui could hit Su Fong with the golden claw in the next second, turning the latter into dust or minced meat. He would die tragically under the tyrannical power of a venerable disciple. Everyone was on tenterhooks, even more nervous than the people involved. Hundreds of thousands of disciples had an unusual tacit understanding. Not only were they focused on the 2 geniuses in the formation, but they also remained silent. So strong. Why is Fong Yu so strong? He's at the 10th layer of the imperishable realm. He's actually able to fight against Prince Shui, who's at the peak of the calamity realm. If someone had said that Fong Yu could fight against Prince Shui, I wouldn't have believed it. But it's true. There's such a strong person in the world. A venerable disciple's brilliance was suppressed by Fong Yu. If Fong Yu can survive, the celestial sealing sect will not only have 3 venerable disciples, but also a peerless genius on par with them. Some young nascent realm, calamity realm, and higher-ups couldn't help but talk. At some point, there seemed to be a dazzling light rising from the arena, illuminating the entire celestial sealing sect's Dao field. The disciples were shocked, their hearts trembling. Su Fong, what an outstanding person you are. His eyes were trembling violently in the eyes of many young soul disciples. Qi Yuan Ao. He was a genius from Gu King's Valley, who was once on the heaven ranking. Now, he was a member of a mortal touching heaven. It's only been a few decades. Why is it that every time I see him, he's different from the last time? Qi Yuan Ao couldn't help but think of the first time he saw Su Fong in Gu King's Valley. If it weren't for Venerable Gu, he wouldn't have seen Su Fong. His first impression was that he didn't understand why a venerable senior of Gu King's Valley would treat an ordinary cultivator with respect. Such an ordinary cultivator could be found everywhere, but in front of him, they were not a thing. Only a few decades later, he exceeded Qi Yuan Ao's expectations. But now, only a few decades. Coincidentally, there was a young man in Taoist robes. He was in his early 20s. He stood there by himself and didn't interact with the surrounding disciples at all. It was as if he didn't belong to the celestial sealing sect. Yin Fu Xin. He was a genius who had interacted with Su Fong during the 100-year trial. In the entire Zhua, in the entire world. In the entire Zhua. This Fong Yu is just as I expected. Unfathomable, with limitless potential. There are countless geniuses in the house of immortal bestowal, but only a few have limitless potential. Yin Fu Xan didn't have Huang Lingyao's strength. Instead, he was ordinary. He was like a light breeze or a wisp of a mortal cloud. He muttered with a smile, "His cultivation speed is even crazier than mine." Back then, I was at Longevity Realm while he was at Heaven Union Realm. Now, we are both at Imperishable Realm Stage 10. Why does an ordinary disciple like him give me an invisible pressure? Do I have to compete with him with my desolate body? Only venerable disciples are my opponents. Unfortunately, Prince Shui is a venerable disciple with great strength. Those who can become venerable disciples are all extraordinary. For example, Senior Sister Huang. Fang Yu, you can't die at the hands of Prince Shui. I don't know why, but you give me a very confident feeling. It seems that among the countless disciples, only I, Yin Fu Xan, believe that you won't be defeated by Prince Shui. I'm looking forward to it. Yin Fu Xin still looked very ordinary. Even when some longevity disciples passed by him, they didn't notice anything special about him. You're very capable. In the arena, although Prince Shui was murderous, he had seen the world after all. He was also an expert who had experienced many life and death situations. Looking at the distance of 3 feet, he knew that he couldn't kill Su Fang with his cultivation. He sneered, "But I'm only at the first level. My attack and aura are different. Next, I'll show you the true power of the Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw." Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. Su Fang immediately used the ruler's divine steps. Whoosh! He hurriedly retreated to avoid Prince Shui's golden claw. How could he escape from Prince Shui at such a distance? Prince Shui saw that Su Fang wanted to avoid the attack again. He also used the ruler's divine steps and passed Su Fang. In an instant, he appeared behind Su Fang. He's really strong, far stronger than me. Releasing aura and attacking are 2 different concepts. When Prince Shui released his aura, I was like a fish in water. But when he attacked, I couldn't dodge at all. Fortunately, I thought of all this before. There was no way out, and the golden claw was still 3 feet away. At such a distance, he could kill Su Fang at any time. Bang! Prince Shui suddenly increased his strength. The golden claw crushed Su Fang's surroundings again, causing the golden claw to be only 2 feet away from Su Fang. Su Fang's eyes reflected the golden claw. The murderous aura and coldness caused Su Fang's body to lose all warmth. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't even breathe. I have to get rid of this distance. It's so close. The young nascent soul exploded with power. Unlimited pure yellow qi exploded from Su Fang's body. It turned into an almost golden human figure with its palms together. Bang! The figure condensed and expanded, forcefully protecting Su Fang and pushing Prince Shui away. Xiao Huang's Divine Cosmic Force. It seems to be Xiao Huang's Divine Cosmic Force, but it's a bit different. It's hard to see through it. He used Xiao Huang's Divine Cosmic Force in an instant. Not only did Fang Yu master the Daoyuo Heaven Sword Qi and the ruler's divine steps, but he also cultivated Xiao Huang's Divine Cosmic Force to such a high level. Many of the disciples in the outer circle were shocked. After Prince Shui was pushed away, he looked at Su Fang, who was protected by the pure yellow statue. Oh, Xiao Huang's Divine Cosmic Force combined with an extraordinary technique. Your defense is quite good. Increasing my cultivation, mastering my origin, and having a young nascent soul. I didn't think I could combine so many techniques. Combining Xiao Huang's Divine Cosmic Force with the heaven-worshipping palm arts, its power is so shocking. With the help of my origin, I was able to push Prince Shui away. Su Fang didn't speak. He was as firm as a rock within the statue. But he was analyzing and using his intelligence. Every second, every breath, every movement, he was thinking of a way to stop Prince Shui and restrain Prince Shui. With a young nascent soul, he could instantly use many techniques. Xiao Huang's Divine Cosmic Force, peerlessly domineering. At this moment, a pure yellow aura exploded from Prince Shui's body. With the ruler's divine steps, he was only a step away from Su Fang. Prince Shui seemed to be plated with a layer of gold. His right arm shook, and he grabbed at the pure yellow statue protecting Su Fong. Xiao Huang's divine cosmic force against Xiao Huang's divine cosmic force. My blood is boiling. This is a true battle of geniuses. Many disciples focused their attention on the space. Bang! In the arena, two balls of pure yellow aura exploded like rainbows. Domineering, too domineering. Even with the heaven-worshipping palm arts, he's still not a match for Prince Shui's Xiao Huang's divine cosmic force. Under the explosion, the pure yellow statue began to shatter. Whoosh! Su Fong was the first to fly out of the shattering statue. He watched as the pure yellow statue collapsed. Although it was unfair, he didn't think much of it. Once again, he saw the difference between him and Prince Shui. In such a short time, I can't use my origin, and my young infant can absorb the formation and natural aura. Now, I'll use the energy of the first Yang Meridian. As soon as he retreated, Prince Shui grabbed again. His 5 fingers turned pure yellow. With the ruler's divine steps, he didn't give Su Fong any chance to breathe. As expected of a sovereign's disciple, he didn't have time to use external power. He immediately released a vast amount of energy from the first Yang Meridian. Prince Shui's 5 golden fingers reached 1 zhang away. Between life and death, Su Fongda shouted, "Ice divine form." Divine form, squeak. Squeak. The cold qi turned into ice around Su Fong. It instantly froze the surroundings into ice cubes. That's the blue sky, cold, mysterious art. How? How is this possible? He's just an imperishable realm cultivator. How can he use the blue sky, cold, mysterious art so proficiently? Some female disciples not far away were shocked. Most of them had started cultivating the blue sky, cold, mysterious art when they came to the celestial sealing sect. They knew this divine power very well. Now that they saw Su Fong use it so casually, of course they were shocked. Divine form. Prince Shui saw it. You're not just using the blue sky, cold, mysterious art. You've merged your divine form and merged the power of ice with nature. But you can't stop me. Prince Shui smiled disdainfully. The Daoyuo, heavenly sword qi, little yellow divine righteous force, ruler's divine steps, and the blue sky, cold, mysterious art. Fong Yu has mastered 4 of the 7 divine powers at the imperishable realm. Unbelievable. I'm afraid only the 3 sovereigns' disciples can reach this level. If Fong Yu is the second genius in Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven, no one would say he's the first. The higher-ups of Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven followed Jin Zhangkong and told the people around them, as well as those who hadn't returned to the sect and were cultivating outside. Boom! But the ice protecting Su Fong was instantly turned to dust by Crown Prince Shui's golden fingers. Even Su Fong was shaken to the point of spitting out a mouthful of blood. So what if it's a divine power? Your realm isn't high enough. It's just a facade. Let's see what the real blue sky, cold, mysterious art is. Boundless ice. After shattering it, he shook his arms and started to freeze around Prince Shui. This freezing power directly hit Su Fong with lightning speed. Fast and fierce. It could take Su Fong's life in an instant. Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. Su Fong didn't have time to wipe the blood at the corner of his mouth as he moved back with the ruler's divine steps. He clawed out 2 Heavenly Dragon Divine Claws towards the ice. Another divine power. However, when the 2 Heavenly Dragon Divine Claws struck the ice seal, they were not as tyrannical as Crown Prince Shui's. They did not shatter the ice seal at all. Su Fong was even forced to take a few steps back. This is cultivation, Prince Shui roared. Then he looked at the ice. It could freeze Su Fong in the next second and shackle him. Once he was shackled, Su Fong's head would be his. Maybe the ice shackles would also crush Su Fong's body. You're getting cocky too early. The ice was only a few feet long. No matter how Su Fong used the ruler's divine steps, he couldn't be faster than the ice. He opened his mouth and spat out. His hands formed a seal. A green true fire came out of his mouth and his eyes. It formed 3 green waves of fire that rushed towards the ice. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The green true fire could actually melt the ice. Although it didn't completely melt it, it could at least make the ice less condensed. Even Crown Prince Shui himself was dumbstruck by the azure true fire. Green Fiend True Fire. Chapter 452. That's one of the 7 divine powers. Only catastrophe realm disciples and higher-ups can cultivate it. It's called Green Fiend True Fire. Not only is it a great divine ability of the sect, but it's also a forbidden technique. It's a peerless divine ability that only catastrophe realm experts can use. If a Yang Soul Realm disciple wants to use the Azure Fiendish True Flame, they would have to have the talent of a disciple of one of the 3 paths of the Sovereign. I've never heard of a disciple who can use Green Fiend True Fire in the imperishable realm. Su Feng's Heavenly God Energy, Ruler's Divine Steps, Blue Sky Ice Mysterious Art, Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw, and other divine powers were already shocking. He wasn't a catastrophe realm core disciple. How could he use divine powers? At this moment, the Green Fiendish True Fire was unleashed by Su Feng. It burned with a whoosh. The ice-sealing power that came from Crown Prince Shui completely shocked countless disciples of the Celestial Sealing sect. Green Fiend True Fire wasn't one of the 7 divine powers. It was a divine ability of the Celestial Sealing sect, just like the Celestial Sealing scripture. Together with the 10,000 God Seal, it was one of the 3 most powerful techniques of the Celestial Sealing sect. It was something that only catastrophe realm cultivators could use. Normal disciples couldn't use it even if they were Yang Soul Realm cultivators, unless they were Path of Venerables. Su Feng was only at the 10th level imperishable realm, but he could control Green Fiend True Fire. Of course, it shocked the entire sect. Many disciples couldn't believe what they were seeing. Outside the formation space, a higher-up of the Ice Moon Grotto whispered to Jin Changkong, "Elder Jin, did Su Feng learn most of the sect's divine powers when he was in the Immortality Realm? I remember that when he was in the Immortality Realm, he was trapped in the Xinjia Gate and hasn't returned for 10 years. He must have learned it before he went to the Flying Celestial Island. According to the sect's rules, Immortality Realm disciples can only learn 2 divine powers. I also feel that it's inexplicable. A few other higher-ups also thought of the same problem. This was a problem that the higher-ups had to think of and solve. The 7 divine powers weren't something that just any disciple could learn. Every divine power had to be passed down from the higher-ups for disciples to learn. Jin Changkong said, "You don't have to think about it. It's related to Elder Yu. If you want to know the details, you can ask junior sister Yin." Actually, Yin Kaifeng, who was at the back, also looked confused. She had only imparted 2 divine abilities to Su Feng, the Daluo Heaven Sword Qi and the Heaven Ruler Divine Steps. Furthermore, she had only imparted them to Su Feng after the upper echelons of the Grotto Heaven verified them. However, at this very moment, Su Feng had actually grasped all the divine abilities of the sect other than the Immortal Sealing Scripture and the Pantheon Seal. This was especially true for the Green Fiendish True Fire. This was a cultivation technique that even ordinary catastrophe realm core disciples would find difficult to grasp. Some of the higher-ups came over to ask, but Yin Kaifeng couldn't give them an answer in the end. The Green Fiend True Fire has truly surprised me. Prince Shui continued to push the cold air towards Su Feng. The Green Fiendish True Fire could burn some of the ice, but it was still forced back by the cold qi. Only Su Feng, who was at the back, finally came to his senses. He did not allow Crown Prince Shui to approach and engage in close combat. Prince Shui said coldly, "It seems that Grand Elder Yuzhan imparted it to you at the Xinjia Gate." Using the Heaven Ruler Divine Steps, Su Feng said inwardly, "Of course, if it wasn't for Grand Elder, how could I have grasped so many divine abilities at the imperishable realm? Because I was shackled at the Xinjia Gate and had no way to escape, Grand Elder decided to impart the Tao to me. After that, I never would have thought that I would be able to escape from the Xinjia Gate alive. Prince Shui, do I have a right to challenge you? I can only say that you didn't die unjustly by my hands. In the end, even the 7 divine abilities were unable to save you, unless the heavens gave you another 10 years. Unfortunately, the heavens won't open their eyes this time, and luck won't cover you again. You're too naive. Do you think that the 7 divine abilities can stop my green fiend true fire? Yes, it can counter the jade, heavenly cold, mysterious art, but your cultivation is too low. I'll let you see the true green fiend true fire. Probably because Su Fong had repeatedly used the celestial sealing sex secret techniques, Prince Shue's battle intent was also stimulated. The cold air disappeared, and an even larger, more blinding, and more scorching green fiend true fire surged out from Prince Shue's surroundings. It was 10 times more powerful than Su Fong's true fire, and it came crashing down with overwhelming force. Whoosh, 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 it directly suppressed Su Fong's green fiend true fire until it disappeared layer by layer. He immediately used the Heaven Ruler Divine Steps, leaving behind an afterimage, followed by a large amount of true yellow sword chi. The true yellow sword chi was formed by the combination of Goldie's Sky God Cosmic Force and Daluo Heavenly Sword Chi, together with the Yang Infant and the Heaven Ruler Divine Steps. It was like an ocean that came crashing down on the green fiend true fire. Whoosh, 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 the green fiend true fire was fast and fierce, and the true yellow sword chi was fast and domineering. When the true yellow sword chi stabbed into the green fiend true fire, it was immediately incinerated by the true fire, and the sword chi shattered. This was the difference in cultivation, the difference in divine abilities. The green fiend true fire released by Prince Shue not only covered a large area, it was also extremely powerful. It incinerated a large area of the true yellow sword chi. Of course, Su Fong's attack also slowed down Prince Shue's attack once again. It was no longer realistic for him to use the green fiend true fire to incinerate Su Fong in a large area. Xiao another large amount of true yellow sword chi came crashing down. There's not much energy left in the first Yang Meridian. The difference in cultivation between Prince Shue and I is too great. Plus, I can't use the power of my original source, and I have to quickly absorb external energy. No matter how much energy I have, I won't be able to fight with Prince Shue for a long time. I have to continue using this tactic of attrition and delaying. I have to let Prince Shue see that I'm lacking, that I'm tired, and he'll let his guard down. Then, I'll find an opportunity to use my true abilities to kill him. Su Fong used the ruler's divine steps and unleashed a series of shocking sword chi. He looked like he was still full of energy under Prince Shue's pressure, but in reality, his first Yang Meridian was almost completely depleted. Looks like your strength has only reached this level. It's also very shocking, far surpassing me back then. Back then, when I was at the 10th level of the indestructible realm, I only had the strength of a high Yang soul realm cultivator. It was difficult for me to reach the catastrophe realm from the indestructible realm. You have to thank me. If it wasn't for me, I wouldn't have been able to force out your potential in the sect. But I won't give you another chance. You think I'm using my full strength, but I'm just trying to force you into a corner like a drowning dog. True fire sword chi. After Prince Shue roared angrily, the green fiend true fire that was propelled overturned into countless green sword chi. It was a true fire sword chi formed by the green fiend true fire. Not only could it incinerate everything, it was even more terrifying in speed and attack. Hu Chi, the true fire sword chi, swept towards Su Fong like a tsunami. Hua Su Fong used the ruler's divine steps to dodge, but the true fire sword chi was too fast, and there were too many of them. If he was really hit, he was afraid that one sword chi would be enough to kill him. If I don't have an advantage in speed, I can only weaken the true fire sword chi's attack first, and then forcibly shatter it. There was no way to dodge. There was no way to retreat. Under this kind of absolute attack, Su Fong's overall strength was already beyond him. He couldn't dodge at all. He could only face it head-on. Outside, many disciples were worried for Su Fong. If it were them, they wouldn't be able to resist such an attack, even if they used Dharma treasures. Perhaps in the next second, Su Fong would be killed by the true fire sword chi. Blessing of the origin, infinite true fire divine image. Su Fong started to move. He used the ruler's divine steps to retreat while forming a seal. The great perfection of the origin, the explosive power of his physical body, and the fire elemental power he absorbed from the flaming cloud's spiritual gourd, combined with the rich, true chi of the second Yang meridian, all of it was under the control of the Yang soul. The Yang soul in the divine aperture immediately shot out infinite divine power. Whoosh! A cold power came out of Su Fong's body and swept across the space in front of him. The entire space was instantly filled with burning blue fiend, true fire, and the flames gathered into a ball. It didn't look like a normal fire state. The true fire sword Qi hit the burning blue fiend, true fire. Prince Shui and countless disciples of the sect couldn't explain it. The speed and aura of the true fire sword Qi that pierced into the fiery space suddenly weakened. However, when it entered the fiery space, it did not shatter the space. It seemed that the blue fiend, true fire in the space, had an invisible force that instantly weakened the power of the true fire sword Qi. Fong Yu's divine image is so powerful. When combined with the blue fiend true fire, it can actually dissolve Prince Shui's attack. Yeah, that's insane. But look, Fong Yu's breathing is rapid. A large amount of energy is pouring out. It turns out that he's using a lot of energy to counter Prince Shui's attack. 10th level imperishable realm. Where did he get such a shocking amount of energy? I feel like he's a catastrophe realm cultivator, not an imperishable realm cultivator. It's really eye-opening. I've cultivated in this sect for 1,000 years, but this is the first time I've seen such an exciting battle. Fong Yu is incredible. I'm also an imperishable realm cultivator. How come I'm not even 1/10 as strong as him? Many people exclaimed again. Now, countless disciples no longer supported Prince Shui. Most of them were paying attention to Su Fong's every move. They felt that it was impossible to create a miracle with Su Fong. Brother Jin, this disciple of Fong Yu is indeed extraordinary. The energy he releases contains a certain amount of origin energy. He merged origin energy with his divine image, combined the array and natural energy around him. They combined ingeniously and dissolved Prince Shui's attack. Yuan Tianzong suddenly said to Jin Chongkong, an imperishable realm cultivator can control source origin. Brother Jin, you and I both know that cultivators like you and me will never be able to control source origin in the imperishable realm. Only the legendary descendants of the World Lord can use the Zhua Heaven World's source origin when they are at the Heavenly Union Realm. If Fong Yu can pass this trial, he might also become a genius like the Sovereign Tao's disciples. This disciple is indeed incredible. He's good at hiding his strength. In the end, he revealed it in this kind of situation. Apart from his cultivation, he's not inferior to the venerable Tao disciples in any other aspect. Jin Chongkong also praised. However, inside the arena, Su Fong used his divine image and fused many techniques together to dissolve Crown Prince Shui's powerful attack. However, Crown Prince Shui attacked again and immediately rushed over. At this moment, the aura that Crown Prince Shui released was much stronger than before. Su Fong, who had grasped origin energy and his body at the perfection realm, immediately sensed a threat to his life. Prince Shui is finally showing his true strength. Su Fong had just opened his eyes. Swish, swish, swish. At this moment, a large amount of sword qi came from all directions. They were divine abilities built on the Daoyuo heavenly sword qi. Moreover, his strength had reached the 7th level of the Calamity Realm. From this, one could see how terrifying it was. Boom! Countless sword qi turned Su Fong into a magnet. He couldn't escape or dodge. All the sword qi stabbed the divine image of true fire. This time, the divine image didn't dissolve the attack like last time. It only dissolved a small portion. The majority of the power hit the divine image. The explosion caused the divine image to shatter. Within it, Su Fong seemed to have been struck by lightning. Blood flowed from the corners of his eyes and mouth. His skin was also in a state of tearing, becoming bloody spots. Su Fong looked at the explosion and felt an invisible pressure sweep over him. He was dumbfounded. This is Prince Shue's true strength. I used all my skills, but in the end, I still couldn't resist him. I was even heavily injured. Chapter 453. Fong Yu's situation is not good. His body seems to be severely injured. How is that serious? His skin is torn. I'm afraid that his meridians, flesh, and blood have all been torn to pieces. Prince Shui used his true strength. Fong Yu can't withstand one move. In reality, Fong Yu doesn't have enough time. If he was in Xinjia Gate back then, he would have needed 10 more years. Only after 10 more years would he be able to fight against Crown Prince Shui. But now, the difference between them is too obvious. I can tell that Crown Prince Shui has yet to use his full strength, while Fong Yu has already used all of his sex great abilities. Fong Yu is in trouble. Last time at Xinjia Gate, he only angered Prince Shui a few times, and Prince Shui cut off his left arm. Now, in public in the sect, Prince Shui is embarrassed. I'm afraid it's not just his left arm. Prince Shui might have destroyed his golden core, Dantian, broken all his meridians, shattered his divine apertures, and killed his young soul. Have you forgotten? I heard that Fong Yu lost his golden core early. Many disciples began to discuss the scene in the arena, especially when Prince Shui's thunder strike shattered Su Fong's divine image and severely injured him. Most people already thought that Su Fong couldn't defeat Prince Shui. In the next second, he would suffer the same humiliation he suffered at Xinjia Gate. He might even lose his life. Can you ask senior sister to come out? If this continues, Fong Yu won't be as lucky as last time. He will definitely die in Prince Shui's hands. Xiang Ruru's spiritual eyes trembled, and tears almost gushed out. She hurriedly asked Yin Bixin, Xuanxin Yao, and the other girls for help. But when they saw Huang Lingyao's ethereal figure in front of them, none of them dared to speak. They didn't want Su Fong to die like this or become a cripple, but they all knew that no one was qualified to intervene in this kind of life and death arena. In other words, Huang Lingyao couldn't help Su Fong this time. Little did they know that Huang Lingyao's fluorescent eyes quietly fell on Lan Haicheng's body. Did you hear what those sisters behind you said? Many thanks for your help, elder sister, Lan Haicheng replied. My meridians are more or less healed, and I've recovered some of my power. Not long ago, I broke through to the third tribulation level and reached the third tribulation life-seizing level. Although my fleshly body hasn't fully recovered, I'm much stronger than before. Do you think I should take the risk to save Su Fong? I can't say for sure. Why can't I say it? Su Fong promised to work for me, so I will do what I can for him. It's just as you say, elder sister. Since Su Fong is working for you, then you should save him. But right now, he and Prince Shui are fighting in an arena, not a sect battle. Life and death are up to the heavens. If you insist on interfering, it would be tantamount to declaring war on Prince Shui and offending him. I don't want you to take such a dangerous risk. You haven't finished speaking, right? Do you believe that Su Fong won't be defeated by Prince Shui? Huang Lingyao's words were both meaningful and unintentional. Disciple just saw how confident Su Fong is. That's why I thought that. If he's not afraid to die, then why should we worry about him? Lan Haicheng replied calmly. Huang Lingyao smiled, but didn't say anything. When she looked back at the arena, her smile was gone. Brother Shui, why is Fong Yu so powerful? Outside of the arena, there were dozens of people closest to the formation. They were all high-level members of the Crown Prince Society. They were all in the catastrophe realm, and some of them were even stronger than Prince Shui. Amongst them, the Crown Prince of Great Qing's cultivation base could only be considered ordinary. At this moment, he finally revealed a smile to vent his anger. Looking at Shui Lung, he suddenly realized, so in the past, every time we tried to deal with Fong Yu, he managed to escape. It wasn't because he was lucky, and it wasn't because we were careless. It was because he hid his strength and pretended to be weak in front of us, causing us to be careless. Brother, you're right. Now it seems that your analysis is correct. Shui Lung felt helpless and angry. He actually played us like monkeys. If we knew he had his current strength and accomplishments, we would have done it ourselves. How could he be so careless today? It's all because he underestimated his enemy. But now we've vented our anger. Fang Yu is already on the verge of death. Even the Crown Prince didn't use his killing move. Next, we'll slowly torture him to death. We'll let the Crown Prince Society see how powerful we are in front of all the disciples. After this battle, the Crown Prince will once again intimidate the higher-ups and become the leader. That's for sure. Our Crown Prince's luck is limitless. He has the protection of immortal qi and a powerful figure behind him. How could he be defeated by an ordinary disciple? Shuelong's face was filled with arrogance. His aura and temperament were the same as Prince Shue's. Sister Huanyun, we wanted to befriend Fang Yu. Not only is he handsome, but his strength is also extraordinary. In the future, he will definitely become a disciple of the three great venerables. What a pity! What a pity that he was defeated by Prince Shui. I'm afraid he'll end up worse than a beggar. Many disciples who supported Su Fang before lost interest at the same time. Qian Huanyun trembled. Many of the female disciples around her also stopped asking her about Su Fang's past. Senior apprentice sister, if I were you, I wouldn't have any contact with Fang Yu from now on. After offending the Crown Prince Society, even if he doesn't die, he won't be able to stay in the sect for long. If you become his friend, you'll indirectly offend the Crown Prince Society. Don't blame me for speaking too much. They all have the same idea. A female disciple from Ice Moon Paradise whispered into Qian Huanyun's ear. Qian Huanyun couldn't help but tremble again. She glanced around and saw that every disciple was snorting disdainfully. Before, they had all been solemnly saying that they wanted Su Fang to defeat Prince Shui. But now, they were all praising the Crown Prince Society. They were saying that Prince Shui was a true dragon who had descended to the mortal world. Su Fang, you have to work harder. Even if you lose and become a cripple, don't lose your dignity. In the future, even if you become a cripple, I'll still treat you as a friend. Qian Huanyun was filled with anger. She wanted to shut everyone up. She also realized that the sisters who had been on good terms with her before were now invisibly rejecting her. They were even gradually leaving. They were afraid of getting into trouble. Cough, cough. Inside the arena, everything shattered and disappeared. Su Fang was in a sorry state. He clutched his chest and coughed a few times. He spat out a mouthful of blood onto his palm. For a disciple like you to make me use my normal strength, you've already proven your worth. Fang Yu, I really think you're something. Prince Shui was surrounded by Xinguang. He was like an emperor who had descended from the 9 heavens. In front of the countless disciples outside, as well as the powerless Su Fang, Crown Prince Shui muttered in a grand voice, "You're the most outstanding person in our sect who has surpassed our realm. But when you were training on flying a mortal island, you first conspired with the celestial drill rat to slaughter your fellow disciples. Then you publicly slandered me, and now you've broken the order of the sect. You've been challenging me for over a month. It's true that you have strength, but you're too arrogant and too blind. Do you know your wrongs? If you admit your wrongs in front of the sect and speak of your sins, I can let you live." Prince Shui already thought that he had won and dominated everything. But what about Su Fang? He had already been defeated and was a weakling waiting to be slaughtered. He could kill Su Fang effortlessly. If he wanted to kill him, he could kill him. If he wanted to step on his head, he could do so at any time. His voice echoed among the countless disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect. Everyone could feel Prince Shui's strength and dominance. At this moment, the world was completely silent. But, after 10 breaths, Su Fang was still bowing and didn't say a word. This scene was shockingly similar to what had happened in Xinjia Gate. Crown Prince Shui's laughter shook the air when he saw this. "You've ignored the sect, ignored the disciples of the Venerate Tao, ignored all the disciples of the sect. Then, prepare to accept your punishment. I'll ask you one last time. If you know your wrongs, kneel down right now and admit your wrongs to me and the sect. Then, this boring competition will end here. I won't make things difficult for you anymore. I'll even plead for leniency on your behalf to the sect and forgive your crimes. At this moment, countless disciples held their breaths and focused on Su Fong. But after 10 breaths, he still didn't say a word. The smile on Prince Shue's face suddenly disappeared. Okay, you're stubborn. All the higher-ups and disciples of the sect have seen it with their own eyes. Then, as a venerated Tao disciple, I'll punish you again. I'll destroy your golden core and dantian, shatter your meridians, shatter your divine aperture, and kill your young soul. Then, I'll kick you out of the celestial sealing sect. Since you're a disciple of the sect, I'll let you live. Oh! Exclamations came from outside. Prince Shui walked step by step toward Su Fong disdainfully. Prince Shui. Unexpectedly, Su Fong, who had been silent, suddenly spoke. Prince Shui stopped. He wanted to know what Su Fong wanted to say. It would be best if he did as he expected and admitted his mistakes in public. Master, you can't do as he says. An invisible thought appeared in Su Fong's mind and condensed into the appearance of exalted Master Yuezhan. I've met this person before. He's a fickle person. He said he wouldn't kill you in front of you, but once you admit your mistakes, he'll have a reason to kill you. This is his goal, because he doesn't have an absolute reason to kill you now, and he can't kill you completely. After all, you're not an ordinary disciple, but a sect master. What a cunning Prince Shui. Don't worry, I won't admit my mistakes. What I'm going to say is not what Prince Shui thinks. After hearing this, Su Fong couldn't help but admire Prince Shui. This person looked like a venerated Tao disciple and should have a temperament. Unexpectedly, his heart was like a venomous snake and as cold as a poisonous scorpion. Su Fong slowly propped up his spine and stood straight. Although he was still bleeding, his voice shook the air. I just want to say that everything you said is bullshit. Wow. Who knew that countless curious disciples would explode in surprise at the same time? You. Prince Shui's eyes instantly turned cold. Bullshit. Listen to me carefully. I'm sorry for destroying my Jin Dan. I don't have a Jin Dan. I'm even more sorry for destroying my Dantian, breaking my meridians, shattering my divine aperture, and destroying my young soul. I won't let you get what you want, and you even want to drive me out of the sect. You're a venerated Tao disciple, but you're not an elder or a great elder. You still think you're the future leader, so in my eyes, everything you said is bullshit. Su Fong spoke clearly without a trace of powerlessness. Don't worry, it's not over yet. The real reason why I said that you're bullshit is because even if I die, I won't let you kill me and let you step on my head. If you want to kill me, you can kill me, and I will kill you. How can it be a good thing in the world where you, Prince Shui, can take advantage of me and let you kill me as you wish? If you want to kill me, then come and let me and my fellow disciples see how good you are, Prince Shui. Chapter 454. This brat really doesn't know what's important, but his courage is commendable. What do you mean commendable? I think he's just a stinking rock. Stinking and hard. Prince Shui is clearly giving him a way out of this embarrassing situation. He just lowered his head, laughed, and said a few words. He clearly could have lived. Why did he have to court death? But his words were good. They made my blood boil. Finally, we weak disciples have someone to vent our pent-up resentment. I support Fong Yu. Even if he loses, even if he dies, he can't be a coward for the rest of his life. That's right. I'd rather be a starlight than a coward for the rest of my life. Fong Yu. Fong Yu. It was unknown who started it, but the will of the Daimeld, longevity, undying, and undying disciples began to spread. Gradually, one disciple after another began to charge toward the arena, ignoring the Crown Prince Society and openly chanting Su Fong's name. They were all cheering for Su Fong. More and more disciples joined in. Previously, there had only been a few hundred. Then there were thousands. Then there were tens of thousands. Finally, there were at least 100,000 disciples chanting Fong Yu's name. Perhaps even the most powerful cultivator couldn't compare to the excitement of 100,000 disciples. The sound waves were mountain-toppling and sea-draining. The Crown Prince Society's fox exploiting the tiger's might to intimidate the other high-level disciples. This was an aura a formless flow of luck that was rising from the bodies of countless disciples who had been oppressed on a daily basis. Although the core of a sect was made up of Tribulation Realm disciples, but all core disciples had cultivated step by step, starting as ordinary disciples. Therefore, core disciples were important, but foundation disciples were even more important. That's what I want. Core Taoist Temple Huang Lingyao was leading a group of women. She stood at the front of the arena, listening to the whistling of the crowd. She smiled enigmatically. The 3 Tao of Exalted One disciples are competing for the leadership position. Not only are they competing for merit and strength, but they are also competing for support within the sect. That support isn't just from the elders, but also from the most mysterious faith. Only the one who receives the faith of countless disciples will be a Tao of Exalted One. A grand Tao of Exalted One disciple fighting an undying disciple on the martial stage. Prince Shui, you were able to endure it before, but in the end, you couldn't beat Su Fang. He killed your Crown Prince Society's members, and even your Shui family's members, to infuriate you. By the time you stepped on the martial stage, you had already lost the support of the people. Even if you killed Su Fang, all you did was make the other disciples remember how domineering you were, how strong you were, and how you liked to be evil. The joints of his right arm suddenly extended, and his 5 fingers instantly shattered the fiery palms, then passed through the fiery fragments. While using the wings of Fire Cloud and the heaven-conquering divine steps, Su Fang flashed another 10 zhang away. He wasn't surprised to see Prince Shui come out. In another breath, Prince Shui caught up. But what awaited him wasn't Su Fang, but a large amount of true fire sword chi. Boom boom. Unfortunately, the true fire sword chi wasn't as powerful as the previous palm art. Under Prince Shui's attack, a large area was shattered. What Su Fang wanted was not to block Crown Prince Shui, but to have time to dodge. As expected, Su Fang took advantage of this gap and appeared on the other side. Did you see that? The two are fighting. It's a real fight. I thought Fang you could only run for his life and dodge. I didn't expect him to be able to fight Prince Shui head-on. This is Fang Yu's true strength. He's too strong. Why does he have the strength of a catastrophe realm cultivator at the undying 10th layer? Actually, his strength isn't as terrifying as you say. Instead, it's his cultivation method that cleverly fuses his sect's divine abilities and other profound techniques. This way, his divine abilities are endless. Even Prince Shui will have trouble dealing with him. What a genius. He can fuse divine abilities as easily as Prince Shui. Just in this aspect, he's already at the same level as Prince Shui. On the arena, the two geniuses were constantly fighting, strength against strength, causing many disciples to exclaim. This wasn't a battle between sovereign Tao disciples. It was a battle between an undying 9th layer disciple and a catastrophe realm cultivator. Not to mention that Prince Shui wasn't an ordinary catastrophe realm cultivator. Incredible. Many disciples could only use this word to describe it. Other than shock, there was only shock. Not to mention the ordinary disciples, even the higher-ups inside and outside the training hall had never heard of it. Little Yellow Sky God Dipper Energy, Supreme Dipper Shield. Chi Prince Shui was so angry that his teeth itched. An undying disciple actually made him unable to take him down again and again. Strength. His aura rose again. The ruler's celestial steps arrived in front of Su Fang in the blink of an eye. Moreover, a pure yellow chi surrounded Su Fang from all directions. Damn, his strength has increased by a lot. Exclaiming, Su Fang immediately flapped his fire cloud wings. Zz's aura collided with the surrounding pure yellow chi, setting off bursts of sparks. Then there were bangs. Su Fang only managed to break through a part of the pure yellow chi. Damn, once Fang Yu is shackled by Prince Shui's attacks, he's finished. Outside the crowd, Yin Fuxin's palms were sweating. Pa pa pa. A large amount of Daluo Heaven Sword Chi exploded around Su Fang, attacking the compressed pure yellow qi again and again, but it was still unable to completely shatter the pure yellow qi. The pure yellow qi covering Su Fong had now turned into a round wheel. It seemed that Prince Shui had created this divine ability after cultivating little yellow sky, god, dipper energy to the extreme. Prince Shui finally arrived outside of the pure yellow wheel. It's almost at the height of my greatest strength. Fong Yu, how much longer can you struggle? Can you escape? This moment has finally arrived. I can only persevere and continue to persevere. I will use my origin power to control the formation's power and natural power, and invisibly dissolve a part of the shackle's power. Although he was a bit flustered, there was no fear or surprise in Su Fong's eyes. He had already expected this. With his strength and speed, he was not as good as Prince Shui. Once the other party used his true strength, he would be trapped. The combination of the Great Perfection Stage power and the Origin power caused Su Fong's abilities to reach unprecedented heights. He also continuously absorbed the Origin power from the Flaming Cloud spiritual gourd. Controlling the formless power, he began to dissolve a part of the pressure through the Origin power. The second Yang Meridian's energy is about to run out. The previous attacks and blocking Prince Shui's attacks all used up the energy of the second Yang Meridian. Right now, Su Fong was still under pressure. His energy was being drained at a terrifying rate every moment. Prince Shui was not in a hurry. He sneered for a moment, as if announcing his victory to the entire celestial ceiling sect. In an instant, his eyes were filled with killing intent. Fong Yu, I won't give you a second chance. I want you dead now. Whoosh, 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 countless green, fiendish true fire descended from the pure yellow wheel. It surrounded Su Fong and burned Su Fong's defensive aura, instantly turning it into sparks. Fortunately, the Origin power dissolved a part of it, causing the fiery attack to be reduced to a third of its height. Su Fong attacked the true fire again, preventing it from continuing to suppress him. A cornered beast will fight. This was Su Fong's current situation. Don't you have 7 divine abilities? Then I'll let you enjoy them to your heart's content. Daluo, Heavenly Sword Chi, Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw, Jade Sky, Ice Profound Art, Little Yellow Empyrean God's Stellar Energy, Green Fiendish True Fire. Prince Shui was immensely pleased with himself and filled with killing intent. Within the fiery attack, countless strands of sword chi stabbed towards Su Fong. From a distance, Su Fong looked like a stabber. Clang! With a series of punches, Su Fong began to display the toughness of his perfect physical body. Combined with the illusory fire cloud's high-level fire tribute power, he managed to knock away the everlasting heavenly sword chi. Because Su Fong was constantly controlling, blocking, and dissolving the shackles and attacks, he was able to deal with them. The second Yang Meridian's energy has been used up. Only the third Yang Meridian is left. Clang, 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 clang. A large number of heavenly dragon divine claws appeared around Yi Futian again. The claw imprints were too overbearing. Even though Yi Futian was able to negate some of the attacks, each attack would still shatter his defense and injure his body once again. Clang, 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 clang. Prince Shui was displaying the celestial ceiling sect's divine abilities in front of countless disciples. He was truly worthy of being a disciple of the Sovereign Tao. Endure. Chapter 455. All motivation came from faith. Prince Shui was like a giant mountain. To shake this giant mountain, one had to have courage, wisdom, and faith. Only then could one hope to walk out of this hopeless situation. You should be familiar with these divine abilities, right? Divine abilities continued to attack Su Fong from within the confinement wheel. They were like a tidal wave. Prince Shui controlled everything from the periphery. Seeing that Su Fong was still struggling, resisting, and persevering, Prince Shui laughed happily. To be honest, I like people like you. Struggling helplessly, looking for hope, thinking there is hope, But in the end, when you find out that everything is for naught, you know what it means to live a life worse than death. Trapped, Su Fong clenched his teeth and continued to persevere. Even if his energy was being consumed, he had to persevere. Not used to Prince Shue's appearance, Su Fong shouted coldly, "One day, you will also have a taste of this. Maybe I will have such a day, but at least you won't be able to see it." Prince Shui mocked back, "I think you should continue to struggle lowly. At least struggle to prove that you are still alive." The periphery, almost all the disciples remained silent. Su Fong's perseverance in the arena made the disciples' hearts hang in midair, because they supported Su Fong and believed that Su Fong could go further. He couldn't fall like this. To be able to force Prince Shui to this point, in the Celestial Ceiling sect, other than me and Sheng Changsheng, there are not many disciples of the catastrophe who can do it. Huang Lingyao was still indifferent, unlike the female disciples behind her. Of course, Lan Haiqing also remained calm and watched silently. "Su Fong, you have to persevere. I know you will definitely persevere. The Celestial Ceiling sect can't stop you, the Seven-Star Child can't stop you, and Prince Shui can't stop you either. Can you hear me? Su Fong, I hope you can survive." Lan Haiqing seemed to have caught a cold, and his body trembled slightly. "Senior sister." The strange thing was that Su Fong, who was trapped in the arena, actually heard a formless voice in his mind. Although he couldn't hear what it was saying, it was impossible to hear. However, he knew that it was Blue Sea City. Quintessence, the Black Lotus true body, and the dragon subduing would have given me an astonishing recovery ability. I'm constantly recovering, and any injury can be healed to a certain extent in just a short moment. I've persisted for so long and struggled. Prince Shui should be able to tell that I don't have any more tricks up my sleeve. I'm no longer a threat to him, right? Su Fong seemed to be making a move. If I want to break the wheel of shackles around me, I'll have to absorb the junior commander's power. That way, Prince Shui will be able to see my true strength. I've been numbing him this entire time. It's time. Hold out for a long time at this moment. The power of the young nascent soul in Quintessence was weakened and hidden. Bang bang, the large number of heavenly dragon divine claws increased the speed at which Su Fong's aura shattered. The defenses around Su Fong shattered. All of this happened too suddenly. "Fong Yu, this time. I can't take it anymore." After being suppressed by Prince Shui's cultivation for so long, even someone in the Calamity Realm wouldn't be able to endure for so long under Prince Shui's suppression. Once again, the countless disciples fell silent. This time, it seemed that Su Fong would only end up in failure. Countless people didn't think highly of him, but Su Fong himself was still enduring under the power of the shackles. He resisted all kinds of divine abilities. His defensive aura shattered and reformed again and again. Boom! A large amount of ice suddenly shattered his defenses. Su Fong couldn't react in time and hit him. Puff! The shackles disappeared because Su Fong was hit by the ice. He was covered in blood. His entire body was covered in cracks and blood spots, and he was constantly spurting out blood. In this state, anyone with a discerning eye could tell that he was done for. His body was torn apart, and he couldn't circulate his chi or use his physical strength. He was basically a cripple. The shackles disappeared. Prince Shui flew over and landed in front of Su Fong. He coldly glanced at Su Fong, who was bowing and swaying. "Not bad. Although you haven't forced me to use my true strength, you've already passed most of the Calamity Realm cultivators. It's a pity for a genius like you. You must have had a lot of fortuitous encounters. You're also a person with great luck. From now on, everything you have will turn into smoke." Looking at the struggling and trembling Su Fong, Prince Shui didn't feel threatened at all. His sensing ability was also extraordinary. He could sense that Su Fong's body was in a heavily injured state where it was about to collapse and turn into a pile of minced meat. At this level, no cultivator would be able to use any divine ability, unless it was a magic treasure. But in the arena, no disciple could use magic treasures. Otherwise, even without Prince Shui, the sect would take action. Moreover, once a magic treasure was used, it would be considered as admitting defeat. The power of the Black Lotus restored the body. While panting, Su Fong looked like he was about to die, but in fact he was beginning to use the Black Lotus true body. The Black Lotus was formed from the origin of the Wu-Tan realm. Although it wasn't a pure origin, its regenerative ability was already shocking. Although Su Fong hadn't completely merged with the Black Lotus true body and only had a fifth of it left, it was enough for him to use the regenerative ability at will in the undying 10th layer. Layers of blood vessels appeared in his blood, bones, meridians, flesh, and blood. It felt like a silkworm spitting out silk, wrapping everything in his body and connecting them. The broken flesh, the heavily injured body, and the meridians were connected by the blood vessels, forming countless blood vessels, allowing the physical strength, true qi, and life force to combine together. It was like the blood vessels were sewing the broken body together in an instant. The blood vessels became the channel for the circulation of true qi and life force. Moreover, the blood vessels were getting thicker and thicker, growing out of the broken flesh and blood walls and connecting with each other, causing the broken flesh and blood walls to start sticking together. This kind of regenerative ability could be completed in just 10 breaths. Even a catastrophe realm powerhouse couldn't have a fifth of Su Fong's regenerative ability. Otherwise, an immortal like 7-star child wouldn't care so much about the Black Lotus true body. To stall for time, he also wanted to dispel Prince Shue's vigilance. Su Fong struggled, trembled, and spat out blood. You are worthy of being a Venerable One's disciple. Now you know how terrifying a Venerable One's disciple is. To tell you the truth, I'm only using everything I learned in the Celestial Sealing Gate to deal with you. It's not my real strength. Now you know fear. Why didn't you see the reality earlier and do what you should have done? When Prince Shui heard this and saw Su Fong's eyes, he was in a good mood. It turned out that Su Fong wasn't a person who feared nothing. He also knew fear. It brought great psychological satisfaction. Prince Shui looked in all directions, looking up at the sky, enjoying the sense of belonging of being the center of attention. Su Fong said again, seemingly forced, "Can you let me go? I know you want to kill me. You are very smart. Since you know I want to kill you, why didn't you beg me earlier to find a way out? People don't give up until they reach the Yellow River. I also have goals. I also want to become famous, especially to step on Prince Shue's head. You are too naive. How many years have I cultivated? What about you? When I became famous, you probably weren't even born yet. Can't you let me go? No. How can I let you go? Look at the gazes of the surrounding disciples. Most of them are here to watch the show. Now that you are about to die at my hands, they don't have any sympathy. Will they remember you? No, I won't waste words with you. I will beat you back to your original form." Qi. Prince Shui stepped forward and flashed. He suddenly exploded with a terrifying aura. He turned into a green fiend true fire figure and pounced on the defenseless Su Fong. Junior Commander, Dharma Treasure Support. Suddenly, an unparalleled force flowed from the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda into Su Fong's body through the purple cloud Dharma Spirit. The green fiend true fire figure controlled by Prince Shui was right in front of him. With his heavily injured state, Prince Shui only needed a little bit of strength to burn Su Fong to death. Whoosh! The green fiend true fire had already pounced on Su Fong and swallowed half of him. His skin instantly burned and flew into the air like ashes. Su Fong's eyes suddenly burst with infinite light. Prince Shui, who was in front of the true fire, stood with his hands behind his back. He was watching Su Fong being controlled again, stripped and destroyed by him again. Who knew? Su Fong used the fire cloud steps. Inside the green fiend true fire, it was also a fire-type mystique. He wasn't shackled. With Su Fong's finger, he tapped Prince Shui's chest with lightning speed. Poof! At such a close distance, Crown Prince Shui was completely unprepared, and he was still in the midst of Su Fong's attack. Su Fong had opened up a large bloody hole in Crown Prince Shui's chest, and he was in a sorry state. Oh, what happened? Why was Crown Prince Shui sent flying instead and even heavily injured? I don't know. I didn't see clearly. I was only concerned that Su Fong was going to die. Who knew that Su Fong had the power to counterattack? Look, in the green fiend true fire, Su Fong's skin was burned away. It's all flesh and blood. How painful is it for a person to be skinned alive? The countless disciples who were originally silent. Suddenly, there were countless discussions, cries of shock, and screams. In an instant, the entire celestial ceiling sect was in an uproar. He actually injured Prince Shui. Jin Changkong was also stunned. When he looked at Yuan Tianzong, the other's expression was also one of shock. As elders, they naturally knew how strong Prince Shui was and how sturdy his body was. He wasn't someone that an immortal disciple could hurt at all. But now, the large bloody hole in Prince Shui's chest was so shocking. Everything showed that a dignified, venerable Dao disciple was injured by an immortal disciple. Good, that's great. Huang Lingyao, who had been silent and ethereal, couldn't help but cheer in front of the members of the Fragrant Jade faction. Yan Bixin couldn't help but ask Huang Lingyao, "Senior sister, isn't Fang Yu on the verge of death? His body is about to collapse. How can he still use his divine power?" Huang Lingyao was in a great mood. She turned to look at everyone. It's very simple. When he was heavily injured and attacked, it only took him a few dozen breaths to recover his physical body to a certain degree, catching Crown Prince Shui off guard. A catastrophe realm woman standing next to Lan Haicheng exclaimed, "It's hard to imagine how he can have such recovery ability." Moreover, Fang Yu seemed to be baiting Prince Shui. In the end, he ignored his own pain and injuries and was hit by Prince Shui's true fire. He first endured the pain and went on the offensive before suddenly attacking with lightning speed. This person really knows how to endure, wait for the right moment, and be calm. His abilities are unfathomable. To be able to use his brain and use all kinds of abilities in such a short period of time, while enduring the torment of life and death, his willpower won the final victory. He really isn't simple. The other Catastrophe Realm women were also full of praise. Lan Haicheng, who hadn't said a word, also had a gratified look in his eyes. "Fang Yu, you dare to injure my family's ancestor. I'll definitely make you pay for this blood debt with blood." Shui Lung, who was outside the formation, wanted nothing more than a charge into the arena. Only by dismembering Su Fong alive could he vent his anger. Chapter 456. Success. The Green Fiend True Fire, which was below Crown Prince Shui's 7-stage Calamity Realm strength, continued to roar. Su Fong no longer paid any attention to any movements outside. At this very moment, the true fire had already burned Su Fong to the point that not even a trace of his skin was left. Su Fong was covered in blood from head to toe. Not even his head was left. Fortunately, the flesh fetus divine armor protected his body. The true fire gradually disappeared. He immediately used the power of the origin, activating the Black Lotus true body and the dragon taming with left arm. His body recovered at an astonishing speed once again. To fight with such a reckless method, both sides ended up heavily injured. If it weren't for the Black Lotus true body, my perfect body, and the dragon subduing wood, I would have already been burned to ashes by the true flame. Now that Crown Prince Shui is injured, I can quickly recover. The true fire sizzled and disappeared completely. Su Fong's skin began to regenerate. He looked up. About 10 feet away, Prince Shui looked down at the large bloody hole in his chest and touched the flesh with his hand. Prince Shui's eyes were filled with disbelief when he saw his blood-stained fingers. The moment he looked up, his aura exploded and became even stronger than before. Seeing this, Su Fong thought calmly, "Become an angry lion. That's good. Fight with me with all your strength. Only then can we determine a victor. If this continues, I will always be at a disadvantage." The Black Lotus true body and the dragon taming wood are not omnipotent. They will eventually be exhausted along with my body's energy. When that happens, I will have no other means. It's time to fight Prince Shui head-on. One of us will fall in the end. Fortunately, there are 77 commanders. Many of them are Yang Soul Realm. Each of them is a powerful big goblin and has abundant energy. They are what Prince Shui and I will rely on in the final battle. Just now, I only absorbed a portion of the commander's energy and attacked, but I was able to injure Prince Shui. His skin had regenerated and his head had grown back. The disciples outside who were watching attentively were sometimes paying attention to Crown Prince Shui and sometimes looking at Su Fong. They realized that Su Fong would recover very soon. Suddenly, many disciples cried out in surprise. Only now did they realize that Su Fong had an astonishing recovery ability, and they finally understood why he could injure Prince Shui. Why was he still able to fight despite being heavily injured again and again? How could he persevere to such an extent? It's not an accident. It's an ability. Prince Shui was surrounded by Qi aura, and the aura he released became more and more terrifying. I have never suffered such humiliation before. Then didn't I give you this rare opportunity, Prince Shui? 10 years ago, in front of 100,000 disciples at Xinjia Gate, you used the excuse of being a venerated Dao disciple to strip away my Dharma treasure and cut off my left arm. I have no good points, and I have a lot of flaws. My biggest flaw is that if anyone humiliates me, I will definitely return it 10 times over. Even the Heavenly Emperor will have to kneel in front of me. Su Fong sneered in front of everyone. His voice was loud and clear. So today, in front of more disciples and at Xinjia Gate, I will give you double the humiliation. I will let you, a venerated Dao disciple, know how big the sky is and how vast the earth is. Don't think that you can bully ordinary disciples like me just because you have been nurtured by the sect and enjoyed all the resources. You may be a genius, but in this big world, you are just an ordinary cultivator. You have such big words, forcing me to use my full strength. Today, I will definitely turn your bones to dust. Even the Heavenly Emperor you speak of won't be able to save you. Who want to save me? I, Fong Yu, control my own life. No one can kill me. If I have to die, I will choose to die by my own hands. I will not let any flesh fall in front of others. Ha! After Prince Shui heard this, he suddenly raised his head and laughed. This puzzled Su Fong. The disciples outside also didn't know what he meant. What are you laughing at? Do you think this is my strength? Do you think that if you're lucky enough to injure me, you can win? Do you think that if you can fight with me for a long time, you should be proud? But you don't know that I have yet to use my full strength. From now on, I will no longer treat you as an immortal Dao disciple. Ha! On the contrary, Su Fong also laughed. What are you laughing at? I'm laughing because I can finally fight with a true venerated Dao disciple. I have waited for this moment. Do you think I don't know how strong a venerated Dao disciple is? Am I really a fool's dream? I admit that you are an elephant and I am an ant, but today, even a mayfly will shake a giant tree. Swish! Prince Shui was infuriated, and his face twitched. He really didn't understand where Su Fong was getting his confidence from. Unreliable confidence. His aura surged like a rainbow, shaking the surrounding formations of the arena until they gave off loud, rumbling noises. It was like the formations were about to burn to ashes. Boom! Prince Shui was strong, but he wasn't weak either. Next, his body exploded, and his energy surged out. He wasn't much weaker than Prince Shui's, and although he wasn't as strong, he was still abundant. Wow! So this is their true strength. Hundreds of thousands of disciples cried out in shock. Prince Shui, that's Prince Shui. Do you see that? His energy is enough to shake the spell formations. His cultivation base is only at the 7th tribulation life-seizing level, but he's already at the peak of the tribulation level. Our cultivation bases are similar to the Crown Prince's, but we're not even a 10th as strong as him. But the Crown Prince is strong. Look at Fong Yu. Where does he get his true energy from? Strange. If the Crown Prince is that strong, then so be it. But where does an undying 10th stage cultivator get his strength from? He doesn't even have a gold core aura. How can he be so strong without a gold core? It was supposed to be a one-sided fight, but in the end, it looks like they're evenly matched. It's like a battle between two sovereign Tao disciples. Inconceivable. Fang Yu has the power of a sovereign Tao disciple. He's not any weaker than us Tribulation Realm disciples. I heard that he was only an Undying Realm disciple when he became a sovereign, but now it seems he definitely has the qualifications to become a sovereign. What's sovereign? He has the potential to be a sovereign Tao disciple. Even the 3 Tribulation Realm disciples can't compare to Su Fang. Many disciples in the upper echelon were discussing this matter. Even Jin Changkong couldn't help but pound his fists. Yuan Tianzong said, "Brother Jin, another seedling with limitless potential has appeared in the sect. Yeah, I really didn't expect Fang Yu to have such strength and potential. It's really inexplicable. Strange, extremely strange. It's probably because he entered the Xinjia Gate and obtained a great fortune. He even obtained a Dao item inside. Could it be that he didn't obtain other treasures? There are Dao items inside. As long as he can fuse with them or obtain some, he'll undergo a huge transformation. Besides that, it's probably related to Elder Yu. We don't know the specifics, but Elder Yu definitely knows. Yes, the 2 elders couldn't think of a reason. They could only place it on Exalted Master Yuzhan. Haicheng, Core Dao, Field Huang Lingyao's eyes were also filled with astonishment, let alone the female disciples behind her. She privately released her will and asked Lan Haicheng, "This is Su Fang's potential and strength. You followed him, so you probably didn't notice it, right?" Lan Haicheng hastily replied, "That's right, sister. I only knew he was very strong. He was able to reach the Yang Soul realm while at the Undead realm. But I didn't know he could reach the Calamity realm. I made an error in judgment. This brat really does have some skills. Everything now proves that Su Fang is a disciple on the same level as me. Although he might not be as strong as me, in terms of thinking and intelligence, he far surpasses me." Huang Lingyao looked at the martial stage once more. "How could I not know Su Fang's strength? Sister, I'm sorry. I'll feel guilty for the rest of my life." Lan Haicheng silently lowered his head. It was also the core Dao field. But this was the Elder Hall. Xiao Yun, Taoist Gozhen, and Exalted Master Yuzhen stood side by side. There were many other elders behind them. They were all the strongest experts of the Immortal Sealing sect. As elders, their strength had already surpassed the Calamity realm. Taoist Gozhen, who was from the same generation as Exalted Master Yuzhen, said emotionally, "Brother Yu, it seems you also cleansed Fang Yu's marrow when you taught him the Tao in the Immortal Jia Gate. That's why he has such strength, right?" Exalted Master Yuzhen was as calm as a boulder. "That child suddenly encountered me in the Immortal Jia Gate. It was indeed heaven's will. Back then, I had already exhausted all my Tao heart and didn't have the will to live. When I saw Fang Yu, I felt it was heaven's will to pass on everything to him. So when I taught him his 7 great divine abilities, I also cleansed his marrow. That's why his cultivation base was able to reach the 10th level of the Undying Realm in 10 years. Furthermore, he probably had his own fortuitous encounters in the Immortal Jia Gate. Exalted Master Yu was able to create a peerless seedling comparable to an exalted Tao disciple. Adding on his Tao item, this child is not only strong, he's also talented. He also has merit." Grand Elder Xiao Yun smiled but didn't say anything. Then the 3 of them looked at the martial stage. Their expressions suddenly froze. The martial stage. Let's see how many moves you can receive. Die. Prince Shui ignored the bloody hole. Using the ruler's divine steps, Ling Tian made a grabbing motion. This grabbing motion immediately reached Su Fang's front. A huge heavenly dragon divine claw appeared. Furthermore, when the divine claw pressed down, the surroundings were filled with invisible shackles. How powerful! Under this aura, Su Fang saw Prince Shui's true strength. He can't compare to the stone golems under the 7 Stars Island, but he's almost as strong as the myriad treasure paths Elder Chao Chu. Persist. He immediately ordered the Xian Wang 6 Paths Pagoda. Through the 6 Paths Pagoda, The dermic energy and true chi of the 77 junior commanders surged into Su Fang's body. One could imagine how strong Su Fang would be when so much energy was combined. It was indescribable. Su Fang immediately circulated his origin and grand perfection abilities while absorbing the junior commanders to strengthen his flesh fetus divine armor. Then, he made a grabbing motion. Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. A golden claw appeared above Su Fang and clawed at the Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw that was pressing down. Bang! Bang! The two dragon claws collided and crushed each other. At this moment, Su Fang didn't even take half a step back. He and Crown Prince Shui were at the same height, fighting at the same height. Whoosh! 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 A dozen Heavenly Dragon Divine Claws appeared around him, and they were all in an icy state. Crown Prince Shui pressed down with both hands, charging at Su Fang with a loud bang. In an instant, Su Fang also performed the same Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. In the state of absorbing the power of the junior commanders, Su Fang had completely surpassed his usual state. It was equivalent to absorbing the power of the 77 junior commanders. Bang! Bang! A destructive shockwave instantly rose between the two of them. It was as if the heavens were falling and the earth was shattering. The shockwave rolled up the formation of the arena, causing it to rumble. Bang! A restraining power suddenly crushed the chi shield like a divine image. The power of shattering and restraining hit Su Fang again. Su Fang was forced to retreat, and blood vessels appeared on his body again. Prince Shui's strength was terrifying. Chapter 457. Su Fang's feet were rooted in the air. The front continued to shatter. Su Fang sensed his entire body. His muscles were torn apart. My body is heavily injured again. Huh! Another figure came out of the shattering. He used the ruler's divine steps. I won't give you the same chance. Let's see how many moves you can take. Prince Shui forced his way over again. Hold on, Frost Divine Form. He braced himself and absorbed the junior commander's power again. His body trembled. He was filled with energy. Under the young infant and his physical body, his surroundings were instantly frozen. Blue sky, cold mystic artsy, the degree of freezing was shocking. Coupled with the power of the young infant and the divine form, it was no longer a simple freezing power. It was even stronger and stronger. Fortunately, my body has merged with the Black Lotus True Body. My muscles are torn apart, but they are still connected by blood threads. Prince Shui can heavily injure my body, but he can't completely destroy it. At this moment, he checked his physical body. His muscles were torn and broken. Normally, he couldn't form seals or use divine powers. However, because the blood threads connected, they formed a channel. Not only did it connect his body, but it also allowed his dermic powers and true chi to flow. Bang bang! Crown Prince Shui's fist had already smashed through the surrounding cold air and ice protecting the front. The entire ice shook. Crack crack! 2/3 of the ice layer collapsed under Crown Prince Shui's iron fist. As for Su Fang, who was protected in the center of the ice, he was once more shaken by the shock waves, causing many parts of his body to tear apart. Prince Shui's every attack was filled with boundless divine power and aura. Perfect physical body growth. He didn't expect his body to be heavily injured again. He hurriedly used the dragon-taming wood and the Black Lotus True Body to recover his body. He also used the power of a young infant and the divine form to merge with the blue sky cold mystic art. He extended the range of the ice again. Prince Shui floated and fell among the shattered ice. He looked at Su Fang in disbelief. Your physical body's recovery is amazing. Normally speaking, Su Fang wouldn't have been able to unleash any true energy or divine abilities after suffering such serious injuries. But Su Fang was able to break through the impossible again and again. Every time he was on the verge of being seriously injured, or when the other cultivators were in dire straits, he would still be able to unleash a divine ability. Prince Shui shook his head. I don't believe that you really have the power of immortality. Kaka, the ice began to condense. Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw, heaven-encompassing claw power. Prince Shui roared angrily and swung his arms. The ground rumbled as he attacked with both hands. He moved forward with the ruler's celestial steps, one kick after another. With the strength of his feet, he was able to shatter a large amount of ice. Countless heavenly dragon divine claws swallowed the ice like a storm. Boom, 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 the attack was too fierce and domineering. The layers of ice were continuously shattered by the claws. The heavenly dragon divine claw was like a ferocious beast. Not only did it break, but Prince Shui's energy seemed to be endless. There was no sign of exhaustion. Every attack was full of energy. Under such an attack, the disciples outside had already sunk into shock and silence. With such an attack, Crown Prince Shui could probably crush a mountain. No matter what material it was, it wouldn't be able to withstand such destruction. The ice layer of the divine image was finally shattered by Prince Shui. I have to start absorbing the junior commander's energy. He was not a match. He was not a match at all. If this continued, he could only delay the attack. If a strong enemy like Prince Shui took the initiative, it would be fatal. Xianwang's Six Paths Pagoda and the Rakshasa Jade's vase origin spirit appeared in the divine aperture. Master, I have doubled the energy that the junior commanders send out. Master, don't worry. There are many junior commanders. It shouldn't be a problem to deal with a catastrophe realm cultivator. Pong! His meridians and blood suddenly exploded. 10,000 swords return. Prince Shui used his chi aura to shatter the flying ice shards. Then he stared at Su Fong. After a step, he clapped his hands. Suddenly, a terrifying sword aura surrounded Su Fong. 10,000 swords. There was indeed such an imposing manner. There were so many sword rays that it was impossible to count them all. Moreover, they surrounded Su Fong in an encirclement. They were definitely going to kill him. Let's see what else you can do. Even if you have a physical body, I'll still cut you apart. Prince Shui clawed at Su Fong with his Yang Soul's power. Little Yellow's Divine Dipper Force, Divine Dipper Giant. Suddenly, almost at the same time, Su Fong also formed a seal and unleashed the power of his Yang Nascent Soul. His Yang Nascent Soul seemed to be built on the foundation of the imperishable realm, but it actually came from the Seven Stars Child, a peerless antique who had lived for countless years. As a result, Su Fong's young infant was weaker than Prince Shui in terms of strength, but its strength far surpassed Prince Shui's and was comparable to those elders. Buzz! A layer of yellow aura formed around Su Fong. When the 10,000 sword rays came, this layer of yellow aura condensed into a yellow giant, and Su Fong stood on the giant's chest. What kind of energy art is that? Not simple. He managed to fuse with the deity image and Goldie's heavenly divinity, astral energy. Furthermore, his aura is extremely shocking. Why is it that Fong Yu's combat power is constantly increasing? It seems the more he fights, the stronger he becomes. Almost all of the disciples of the Celestial Sealing School were attracted to the yellow giant. Pung! In Prince Shui's eyes, everything was nothing. With the simple yet overbearing attack of the heavenly dragon divine claw, he was one step faster. Without waiting for the sword radiance to attack, he quickly grabbed the head of the yellow giant. In the end, the giant was not crushed like the previous attacks. Countless sword chi also landed on the true yellow giant in an encirclement. ZZ. The yellow giant was sliced into many pieces by the sword chi. Sparks flew. It was clear that the yellow giant had not been destroyed by Prince Shui's attack, but it had been severely injured. Now that it was under the attack of the 10,000 swords, it was not as invincible as imagined. Prince Shui floated in the air, confused. Oh, how did your strength increase by so much? With Su Fong's divine essence, and with the support of the junior commander's power, he began to have the opportunity to absorb the formation, as well as the energy inside and outside of nature. He sneered confidently. In order to challenge you, I'll return the humiliation of 10 years ago to you. For the past 10 years, I've been working hard every day, every second. Then I'll have to disappoint you. Divine Astral Greatsword. Prince Shue's strength increased once again. His aura continued to explode, and a 30-meter-long, true yellow greatsword appeared in his hand. The latter would not just sit there and wait for an attack. With the Divine Essence's Divine Essence, he activated a hand seal. Divine Astral Giant Sword Chi. Chi. A 30-meter-long, true yellow greatsword appeared in the true yellow giant's hand. You're a sword. I'm a sword too. It was clear that Su Fong was determined to fight Prince Shue to determine the victor. My horizons have been broadened. Little Yellow's divine astral energy, Daiwo, heavenly sword Chi, we're also cultivating these, but we never imagined that we could reach the heights of these two. That level of sword Chi is comparable to the power of any high-grade artifact. Even the higher-ups who taught us divine abilities are unable to use the sex divine abilities so vividly. Brilliant, brilliant! The ordinary disciples outside could no longer remain silent, and all clapped their hands in joy. Many disciples were stunned. To be able to use the divine abilities they were familiar with to such a high level, it was indeed beyond their imagination. Clang! The arena was in midair. Two streaks of pure yellow sword gleam. The sword tip cleaved onto the sword tip. The two streaks of sword Chi formed a cross, separated again, and collided again. A deafening sound of collision rang out, shaking those Daymeld and Longevity Realms disciples outside the formation to tremble uneasily. Changing my strategy in time is indeed effective. Previously, I was conserving my energy to delay Prince Shue, but instead, I fell into a desperate situation step by step, and my body was heavily injured several times. Now that I'm using more of my commander's power, and have the time to activate the power of my origin to absorb energy, I can completely negate a portion of Prince Shue's attacks. This way, I can completely reach the same level as him. This way, Prince Shue will definitely use his true abilities, and I'll slowly close in on him. When he finally uses all his abilities, that's when I understand everything and attack with all my strength. Su Fong floated among the true yellow greatswords, controlling all kinds of abilities. He also controlled the greatswords of the true yellow greatswords, and fought with Prince Shue in midair. Ability, strength, intelligence. It turned out that a battle of magical powers was not a simple showdown of strength. Unbelievable, senior sister. Fong, you can actually fight with Prince Shue to this extent. Core training field day. Catastrophe Realm woman approached Huang Lingyao and exclaimed. Another woman also said, an imperishable stage 10, whose strength is completely at our level, even surpassing most of the catastrophe core disciples of the sect. This is a proud son of heaven. The world is vast, and there are countless experts. There will always be one or two unique geniuses. Prince Shue is one, and so is Fang Yu. Huang Lingyao replied indifferently, without any other expression, but she was happy inside. Su Fong's strength and ability are completely beyond my expectations. It turns out that he hid his strength so deeply, and his shrewdness is so deep that even Prince Shue might not be able to compare. Not only is he patient, but he's also good at mediating. The key is that I can't see through his abilities. Once this kind of person grows up, he'll be even more terrifying than Prince Shue. Good, I've finally found a chess piece that can eliminate Prince Shue and Sheng Changsheng. Clang, clang, clang. Another ear-piercing collision sound came from the sky. After at least 100 moves, Prince Shue still couldn't take down Su Fong. He was completely fighting against someone whose strength was on par with him. Damn that Fong Yu. Why is his energy so abundant? It's too strange, forcing me to erupt my strength again to reach the peak of the 7th level catastrophe realm. Don't understand. Prince Shue was filled with hatred. He furiously formed a seal, and two huge pure yellow sword Chi appeared around him. The pure yellow sword Chi was clearly much stronger than the first one. Prince Shue is indeed worthy of being a sovereign's disciple. Such strength is so easily at his fingertips. He can't hold back anymore. Su Fong glanced at it and raised his eyebrows. Xian Wang, add more junior commander energy than before. Only then can we resist the next attack from Prince Shui. Yes, master. Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda secretly activated the mysterious ability of the royal grade magic artifact. Qi. Boom. The 3 pure yellow sword, Qi, slashed at the giant sword controlled by the pure yellow giant. Clearly, Prince Shui's attack had already surpassed Su Fong's. The giant sword was split into 3 by the 3-sword Qi, and then slashed at the pure yellow giant's head. It came swiftly and domineeringly. Qi. Su Fong flew out from the giant's chest and used the ruler's divine steps. Once again, shocking bloody marks appeared on his body. Boom, boom, boom. In the end, the pure yellow giant couldn't resist the abnormally strong Prince Shui's attack. The 3 giant swords shattered the giant's head, and then its body. The 3 giant swords then dimmed and disappeared. Qi. Without waiting for Su Fong to catch his breath, a figure with fiery flames that shook the sky actually closed in on him in such a short amount of time. Prince Shui's entire body seemed to be burning. I won't give you any more time to recover. Prince Shui. Su Fong's eyes were covered in flames. Qi. Boom. In the blink of an eye, Prince Shui's palm technique was so fast that Su Fong couldn't dodge. The palm hit his chest, and his entire body was flipped over. Chapter 458. Advantage. Prince Shui's advantage made all the disciples of the Celestial Sealing sect bleed. Bang! Bang! Su Fong, who was sent flying, spat out mouthfuls of blood. The air he passed through was dyed red. His skin was torn, and the blood marks became clear. They were too dazzling, and the degree of tearing was far greater than before. This meant that his physical body's injuries had reached an unprecedented level. Black Lotus' true body. It wasn't just his skin. Even the membranes under his skin were completely torn apart, turning into pieces. The muscles under the membranes had also turned into lumps. Even some of the small meridians in his body were broken along with his flesh. If it were any other cultivator, they would have been left with half their life hanging by a thread under such circumstances. Condensed divine abilities. His meridians, flesh, and blood were all broken. How could he circulate his true Qi? Where would he get the stamina and life force to support his true Qi and condensed divine abilities? Subduing Dragonwood, Stoneflower origin. As Su Fong stabilized his body began to recover from its burning state. All kinds of miraculous spiritual treasures, origin energy, and great perfection physical strength began to sweep through his body. I won't give you a chance. All of a sudden, a flaming figure charged over. Prince Shui. Su Fong's face was covered in blood marks. Even his eyes were bloodshot. Secretly shocked, he let the young infant activate its origin energy. You didn't give me any time, Prince Shui. You are indeed qualified to be a disciple of the venerated Tao, but I, Su Fong, won't let you step on my head. Xian Huang, increase the power of the junior commander again. Bang! Deep within his body, there was a surge of energy that brought about vibrations. Dying, Prince Shui attacked. 10 feet away, a 5 fingers of true fire formed by green, fiend, true fire pressed down on Su Fong like a wall. Illusion fire cloud. It was as if he was really going to be killed. Su Fong frowned. At this moment of life and death, all the disciples of the Celestial Sealing sect were silent. Su Fong suddenly burst out a large amount of fire clouds and a strange flame formed by the green fiend true fire. Combined with the ruler's god steps, he turned and flashed away when the 5 fingers of true fire pressed down. Impossible. He actually dodged Prince Shui's attack. Prince Shui immediately exclaimed that it was impossible. It wasn't just Prince Shui. Even the countless disciples outside the formation were thinking the same thing. How could Su Fong still be able to use his divine ability when he was so heavily injured? It seemed that the serious injury did not affect Su Fong at all. Not only does the Black Lotus true body possess the power of immortality and rebirth, but it can also replace the meridians and circulate the true qi through the blood veins. Combined with the Dharma power, it also allows the body to contain the power of life. Arriving at the side, Su Fong hurriedly seized the opportunity to quickly recover his physical body. As the blood threads fused together, the shattered flesh and blood began to stick together at an astonishing speed. Su Fong's regenerative abilities far surpassed those of the Calamity Realm. Such a freak was no different from a giant demon. The Grand Seven Star Child had spent so much effort to refine the Black Lotus True Body. One could imagine how extraordinary the Black Lotus True Body was. In this small world, it was probably the only existence like it. Su Fong ignored the pain in his body. He had even more junior commander energy. His eyes burned with fighting spirit. Next, I'll let you have a taste of my more powerful techniques. This is a sealed formation. You can't escape. If I can't kill you the first time, I'll try a second time, a third time. There will always be a time when I'll be able to tear you apart. Once I chop you into pieces, you won't be able to recover, right? Prince Shui had already arrived in front of him. He roared evilly. His aura exploded once more, even stronger than before. Prince Shui was actually forced to use his true strength. He's already reached the 9th level of the Calamity Realm. Although surpassing realms is extraordinary, being able to surpass realms in large numbers in the Vast Core Realm, Heavenly Union Realm, Longevity Realm, Undying Realm, and even Imperishable Realm, the majority of those who reach the Yang Soul Realm begin to lose their ability to surpass realms. In the Calamity Realm, those who can surpass realms by 1 step are geniuses. Those who can surpass realms by 2 steps are absolutely shocking geniuses. Prince Shui is such a person. Core Dao Plaza, Elders Hall. The 3 Grand Elders stood shoulder to shoulder, gazing at the battle of magical powers outside. Many of the Grand Elders behind them were discussing. They weren't like ordinary disciples who were startled. Instead, as the battle continued, they began to see if these 2 disciples still had any potential left. Exalted Master Yuezhen looked at the 2 Grand Elders. The reason Fong Yu was able to survive in the Xinjia Gate wasn't just because I cleansed his marrow. Before he met me, he had been adventuring in the Xinjia Gate. Fortuitous encounters and opportunities coexisted with each other, allowing him to undergo a huge transformation in the Xinjia Gate. Grand Elder Xiaoyun nodded. This is the will of the heavens, as well as the fate of man. There are many reasons why Fong Yu has such talent today. Taoist Wuzhen also said, it seems like this battle on the arena cannot wait until the last moment. We don't have to worry about Prince Shui. After all, Fong Yu is obviously inferior to Prince Shui in terms of overall strength. With such a seedling, if the sect finds the secret of the Xinjia Gate in the future, he will be one of the greatest contributors. We have to protect such a seedling with all our might. Put yourself in their shoes. As Grand Elders, what we see is the future. The sect is number 1. The grudges between the disciples are insignificant compared to this. We have to discuss this with the sect master first. After all, he is the one who decides who the honorable Tao disciple will be. The 3 Grand Elders were already discussing in secret. Arena. Qi. His strength increased by an unknown amount. Waves of fire enveloped Prince Shui. He used the ruler's divine steps and stared at Su Fong. Divine image domain. He actually started to use his divine image. As an honorable Tao disciple, his divine image was that of a cultivator. It was almost a profound, mystical ability. It was obvious that Prince Shui had increased his strength to the extreme. Magic power reinforcement, divine astral pagoda. His physical body had just recovered a little. How could he have a time? Prince Shui would not give Su Fong any time. The divine image's divine aura made Su Fong feel shackled. It shot out in the air. So this is Prince Shui's strength. Su Fong was secretly shocked. If I didn't have the Black Lotus True Body and the 77 Junior Commanders, even if I cultivated the divine image, had the Origin Stone Flower, the Dragon Taming Wood, and the Young Infant, I wouldn't be able to withstand one move from Prince Shui. Not to mention my full strength, I wouldn't even be able to withstand one move from him with normal strength. The final moment had arrived. For some reason, Su Fong didn't feel any fear in front of Prince Shui's shocking strength. Perhaps it was because he didn't have the time to think about this. Perhaps it was because Su Fong was full of courage and confidence. Nothing else existed except for his bravery. He secretly asked, "Xian Huang, look at Prince Shui's aura now. How much more can the junior commander's strength be compared to now? Can the junior commander's strength be enough to resist him?" Xian Huang immediately replied, "Master, don't worry. The 77 junior commanders are all big goblin. For example, the sky-covering monster, the Black Fiend King, and the Leech King are all big goblins that have lived for tens of thousands of years. Together with this subordinate's invisible divine ability, it shouldn't be a problem to resist Prince Shui to the end." All right. Full of confidence, Prince Shui released the divine image's power. It immediately devoured the surrounding space. It was a terrifying cold qi divine image. "I'm going to make you suffer." Su Fong once again absorbed the junior commander's strength. He felt a vast power and let Rakshasa Yu Chongping release the 5 poisons true qi. Divine image ice seal. Kakaka at this moment, the entire arena was suddenly filled with cold qi. At this moment, neither the ice seal nor the poison qi were able to advance a single step. No one was able to do anything to the other. Divine image's cold domain. After a stalemate, Prince Shui began to sweat. His face was pale, and he was panting. The speed of the ice seal increased by quite a bit. Reinforce. Seeing that the ice seal was quickly suppressing the poison qi, Su Fong also clenched his teeth. He didn't think too much about it. He absorbed the junior commander's energy and secretly used his source energy to make Bai Chan spit out even more poison qi. The poison qi grew darker and darker. The two of them were unable to do anything to each other. Their true qi continuously corroded the ice seal, but the ice seal was unable to advance much. The two forces were completely competing. Prince Shui grew angrier and angrier. He used his divine image and all his strength, but he still couldn't do anything to Su Fong. Of course, it looked like Su Fong was persevering, but he was consuming the junior commander's energy like a flood. Their energy was constantly being consumed. Looking at the injuries on their bodies, it wasn't an exaggeration to say that both sides were injured. Chapter 459. Fong, you hit it really well. That poison gas is extremely terrifying. It can even poison Prince Shui's godly image power. If it wasn't for the poison gas, he would have already lost. Fong, you can't win this battle. In the arena, the two disciples were locked in a stalemate. The disciples outside were waiting like this. They didn't know how long it would take for the battle to end. The intensity of the battle had left them in a state of shock all this while. Before this, who would have thought that the immortal disciple and the sovereign disciple would have such an earth-shattering battle? In the arena, Su Fong controlled the white toad to absorb more poison gas from its body and the Rakshasa Jade bottle. With the Rakshasa Jade bottle, the poison gas would be endless. The 5 poison true qi is indeed domineering. Haha, it's especially used against the righteous path. I haven't used it yet because I wanted to use it at the last moment, when Prince Shui lost his cool. He smiled and continued to analyze. I've used up all my energy except for my golden origin core and purple chi dharma spirit. If it wasn't for the little commander's energy, how could I force Prince Shui to this point? Prince Shui also seems to be exhausted. He's clearly in a state of exhaustion. Who knew that Prince Shui would say angrily, "You evil sect member, you're using evil sect methods." If evil sect members can use poison gas, then they're evil sect members. Doesn't that mean all the Righteous Path factions are evil sect members? Don't be smug. Do you think this is the end? If you have the ability, then use it. I'll show you. Extreme Tai Soaring Palm. The stalemate lasted for almost 2 hours. Prince Shui couldn't stay calm. This wasn't the situation he wanted. He immediately formed a hand seal. The surrounding cold air suddenly surged with a strange current. As Prince Shue breathed, it seemed like all the godly image power was about to explode. The extreme Tai soaring palm doesn't seem to be an ordinary technique. It's rumored that Prince Shue obtained an immortal technique. His true strength should be the power of the immortals. Could this be an immortal technique? Whoosh! Prince Shue's arm shook. He pushed forward and sent out 2 invisible palms. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, all the cold air in the arena turned into a cold air storm. Wherever the storm passed, it was completely frozen. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, the storm of cold chi engulfed the poisonous gas that Bai Chan spat out and began to forcefully freeze the true chi. It was truly unbelievable. Prince Shue's strength has increased by quite a bit. Look at how he's sweating profusely. He must have used his strongest technique. All right then, I want to absorb the power of more junior commanders as well. Unexpectedly, the poisonous gas was also frozen by the cold air. The speed was getting faster and faster, and a large area was covered in ice. Fanyu has already persevered to this point. It's beyond everyone's expectations. It's not easy. At this moment, many disciples sighed. Then, they silently looked at the arena. Now that the battle had reached this stage, the result was even more exciting. Peng Su Fong heavily crashed into the barrier. His body was almost completely torn apart. He was about to turn into a pile of minced meat. Then he started to bleed. One could even see the obvious traces of blood connecting the broken parts. He immediately activated the power of the Black Lotus. It's ridiculously strong. Unfortunately, I can't use the 5 poisons true chi all of a sudden. Someone will definitely see that it's the 5 poisons true chi. If the Lord of 5 Poisons' name spreads again, it won't be difficult for the sect to think of my relationship with him. The Lord of 5 Poisons is the leader of the evil path. When the time comes, who knows how many people will use this against me. Chi. Prince Shue attacked again. That yellow storm was still violently exploding. He could not wait to chase after Su Fong. Prince Shue's Taoist robe had many holes. Blood seeped out from the holes. He was in a sorry state. The killing intent in his eyes had reached its peak. Kill. His eyebrows were like swords, sharp and domineering. Burn. Energy persevere. Su Fong clung tightly to the barrier. He struggled to get the flesh stuck to the barrier to peel off. He also secretly absorbed the junior commander's energy. If I suffer a more serious injury than this, I'm afraid that my Black Lotus true body will not be able to recover quickly. Su Fong immediately burned with yellow flames. The flames were terrifying. It was like a bolt of lightning exploding. Prince Shue, who was charging over, was startled. He thought that Su Fong was unable to resist. He did not expect him to still be able to release such a terrifying aura. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless palm prints appeared around Prince Shue. Divine astral sword chi. Su Fong also sent countless sword chi flying over from the other side of the barrier. Neither side was willing to give an inch. The fierce battle was about to begin. This battle should end. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 illusory figures, as well as more figures, descended from the sky above the arena. They were not real, but wills. 3 grand elders. Sparks were flying everywhere. Su Fong and Prince Shue were about to start another bloody battle. Who knew that the wills of the grand elders and the other elders would suddenly descend? Whoosh! Hearing the word end, and seeing a large number of elders arriving, Su Fong suddenly stopped. His divine astral chi also started to dissipate. But whoosh! Prince Shue suddenly braked in front of him. It seemed that he could not control his aura. It was like a storm that engulfed Su Fong. Sorry, I did not suppress part of my aura in time. He stabilized his body, and the aura around him disappeared. He coldly snorted. After Prince Shui heard this, he felt a chill run down his spine. He was dumbstruck. He wasn't the only one. The other elders, including the Grand Elder, were also looking at him. Prince Shui squeezed out a smile. I was just joking. If you took a joke seriously, junior brother, then in this world, you'd be living a very tiring life if you took everything seriously. Su Fong mocked back. If you can take this as a joke, then I can only ask you elders, which one of you elders can say such a joke in front of countless disciples? Don't push your luck. I said you were joking, and you really took it seriously. Prince Shui was instantly enraged. He stood up and released a terrifying aura. If you treat your own words as nonsense, then how can you still be a venerated Tao disciple? My words are reasonable. I'm not like a certain person who says one thing and does another. Although this is the Elder Hall, and it's not my place as an undying Tao disciple, this is still a place to talk reason. You're so arrogant. Still better than a certain person. I'm afraid he'll have to hide his tail from now on. You. All right. You say one. I say one. Even the dignified Elder Hall was filled with an aura and the smell of gunpowder. Taoist Wuzhen suddenly let out a thunder roar. Thump, thump, thump. His divine aura caused Su Fong and Prince Shui to both take 3 steps back. They immediately lowered their heads in silence. Even Prince Shui wasn't a match for the Grand Elder's aura. Su Fong, this is the Elder Hall. You have to follow the rules. Jin Changkong also scolded. Disciple knows his mistake. Su Fong admitted his mistake. Everyone respectfully welcomes the leader's will. The 3 elders suddenly stood up. When the surrounding elders heard the word leader, they all hurriedly stood up. A white figure appeared on the throne in the center. It was Ling Mubai's will. Greetings, leader. The Grand Elder, the elders, Prince Shui, and Su Fong all bowed. I'm only here to be a witness. Everyone, please sit down. His gaze landed on Su Fong. Fong Yu, previously you contributed a Tao item from the Xinjia Gate to our sect, allowing the sect to have the possibility of unlocking the secrets of the Xinjia Gate in the future. This is an unparalleled contribution. Now that you can fight the Crown Prince to a draw and use all of the sect's abilities, it shows that you are hard-working and diligent in your cultivation. You should be the role model for all of the sect's disciples. Seeing how motivated you are and how much you have contributed to the sect, I will personally make an exception and confer you a title. This is an honor that the sect has never had before. From today onwards, you are the 4th venerated Tao disciple. Leader, some of the elders were shocked to the point of disbelief. Even Yuan Tianzong said, in history, the sect has never had a 4th venerable disciple. There have always been 3. That's why I'm making an exception.